About to come out onto the ground and run through their banner. Says they think we're easy beats. We're here to prove we're not. Come on, Dragons. Let's show them what we've got. As Pete Coughlin crashes through the banner and absolutely disintegrates it. There really wasn't a lot for his teammates to run through, and Connor Sexton's been absolutely coat-hangered by some of the tape, as has Zach Featherby, as they tried to make their way through the banner. So that wouldn't have been an ideal start. I'm not sure whether the umpire can pay high contact quite that early on in the game, but good to see both sides out there. There's plenty of energy between these two sides, and as they go to scurry and pick up the tissue paper from the ground, the surface here at the QEO. But underway for season 2018 on Bendigo's Fresh FM, you're with Camp Power.
So the ball goes up in the air to get the under-18s grand final underway. It was Sexton that flew high, probably a little bit early. Ozan knocked it to ground. Gave a little dinky handball forward, and Gisborne will get first possession. The clearance comes out from Seb Bell-Bartels. Goes towards the top of 50. Worms on defensive side of 50 for the Dragons, but he fumbled it at the wrong moment. That allowed the Bulldogs to come through for Bird. Inside forward 50 they go. Skews off the side of the boot, and it will go right towards the boundary line, where it will make its way over the line under the scoreboard. And, well, it's hot footy early for Gisborne in the first 30 seconds of this one. No score yet. And we'll be thrown in right underneath the scoreboard here at a QEO, which is absolutely bathed in sunshine.
Jones and Sexton in ruck. Sexton works his way to the front spot in defence for the Dragons. He's tapped down. Sharked out there by O'Farrell. That was Pat O'Farrell. It's worked forward for the Dragons. Coughlin picks up, kicks long down the wing, but it's not to anyone's advantage, and Murphy stands in the hole on the outer side wing for the Dogs. Cuts the kick inboard, finds Liam Spear, who plays on and switches across the corridor. Wonderful kick into the path of Sam McCaskill. A bouncing ball slides along the dew. Mattel gets in there to run interference. Shoveling it out, though, for the Dogs was Mitchell Blake. Got it quickly off to Roby Lane, who scrubs a kick inside the forward 50. Bird picks up, kicks to full forward. It's off hands. Jones tracks it down in the forward pocket, flicks the handball back over his head into the path of a teammate. It came to Vernon. Vernon got it away to Flynn Lakey. Still at full forward for the Dogs. They work it toward the goal line, but it's off hands and through for the first score of this under-18 grand final. It is a rushed behind to Gisborne after a minute and a half. That is their margin. The Dragons yet to score.
They waste no time bringing it in through the Dragons through Worm, but his kick was a worm burner, pardon the pun, and the Gisborne player gets the ball and fires it forward at goal off Ben Eales, and it's gone out of bounds on the full, so it'll be take two for Ben Worm. This time he'll kick it from hard up against the point post. Interesting to see if the Dragons, they like to go to the pool side in the under-18s game last week. So far, signs earlier are going to be coming down the grandstand side as Worm's kick falls short of its intended target. The mark's going to be paid to Ben Eales of Gisborne. So Eales has it. He's about 55 metres from home. Heads in towards the Rifle Brigade pocket. Big pack of players fly. No one able to take the mark. It spills out the back. Gisborne players got hands on footy. Working hard in there was Harry Jones. Ball spills out the back, they keep it alive, and eventually the boundary line wins out and we'll get it thrown in underneath the scoreboard. Play 2.5 minutes in the opening quarter of the under-18s grand final. Gisborne are behind, Sandhurst yet to score thanks to Aussie Disposals.
Just look like they're feeling each other out early, these two sides. Sexton up in ruck, decisively down into the path of a teammate there who couldn't take it in Robinson. Really quick kick out of the pack for the Dogs. Has floated through for a minor score. Might have been Bell Bartels who threw it on the boot and put it through for that behind. So Gisborne 2 behind. Sandhurst still yet to score. 3-con opening term on Bendigo's Fresh FM, and it's thanks to Priority One Property.
So Worm goes short, but it's this dangerous little kick, and Charlie Robinson dropped a mark he probably should have taken. But they'll get a free kick. The Dragons might have been pushed after he got rid of the footy. I'm not sure what happened there, Ben.
Yeah, it was pushed after he got rid of it.
So the ball's with Charlie Robertson, who comes towards the grandstand side of the QEO. The kick's good. They chip down the line. Tender target for the Dragons. A little quick handball over the top. Chasing hard there was Sims, who gave it off to the runner in Mattel. Mattel goes towards the top of 50, but it's an intercept mark for the Gisborne, which will be taken by Seb Bell-Bartels.
Made his senior debut in round 4 against Kyneton Bartels. Played 8 senior games this season. Kicks long down the grandstand side, working his way into that contest and trying to disrupt things was Ben Eales. He couldn't find the handle. It's out for a throw-in on the grandstand side wing. Some nervous signs early for Sandhurst, Hamish.
Yeah, I think they're kicking in down in their defensive 50s. Hasn't quite been there, so they've got to get that one right.
Slater goes through the contest, couldn't take clean possession. Worked out in front of a teammate. Sliding in was Bell Bartels. His handball went awry. It's picked up by Coughlin. Bell Bartels caught him. And holding the ball goes against Coughlin. It was a terrific chase from Bell Bartels, who lunged full stretch and knocked the ball out of the hands of Pete Coughlin and takes the free kick on the grandstand side wing for the Dogs.
He's had a terrific start to the game. He sends it towards the top of 50 down the grandstand side of the QEO. In there hard for the Dragons was O'Farrell, but he was tackled nicely. The tackler there was Tom Bird. The ball spills off hands and over the boundary line for a throw in. They're about 60 from home, Gisborne. And so far, all the attacking's been with Gisborne, Ben.
Yeah, and they're making a statement with their tackling too.
So it's thrown in right at the top of 50. Knocking the ball down was Ozan, but only as far as Worm for the Dragons, who picks up cleanly. A chip wide. Oh, dropping a mark he probably should have taken was Murley, which allowed Gisborne to sweat on the turnover. First shot on goal.
Out of bounds.
Out of bounds on the full. So, no, not troubling the scorers there.
Interesting to note, Cam, that the Gisborne pressure's been a lot more physical than what Sandhurst has so far.
Yeah, that's been the standout at the moment, the physicality of it.
And that's what they bring to the table, the Dogs. Ron Jenkin, Hamish Morecambe and Ben Dyatt with you in this under-18 grand final this morning on Bendigo's Fresh FM Camp Power. Joel Peterson calling the action. Long kick outside defence for the Dragons. Went through the hands of Sexton. Worked the Bell Bartels for the Dogs. Handball back inside 50. Dixon was run down. Got his handball away. Sliding in was McCaskill. Picked up by Lane. Shovels it out. Back to Bell Bartels. To Josh Freak, who eyes the sticks from 50. A tumbling ball will just sneak in for a behind to the right-hand side. So Gisborne press along to 3 behind. Sandhurst yet to score. 6 gone in this opening term. That is thanks to Aussie disposals, but they're not getting great looks at the moment, the Dogs.
No, but one thing they have done, Joel, they've had 5 inside 50s. Sandhurst yet to make an inside 50.
Oh,
Voice of Norm Jenkins down on the boundary line as Ben Worm. He's having a little bit of struggle streaks early with his kicking. He's kicked that one straight out of bounds and it didn't come off any hands at all. So Gisborne will get the ball. They'll fire it towards the top of goal square. In fact, he's had a long shot on goal.
Point.
And it's gone through for a behind. Player underneath the scoreboard who backed himself in for the big kick there was Baxter Slater. And with Baxter Slater's capabilities, you'd nearly back him in to kick those ones.
They're practising all this before the game too. Their pressure on the kick-outs.
So Gisborne moved to 4 behind. Sandhurst yet to score. He played 6.5 in the opening quarter thanks to Priority 1 property.
Worm drives it in long to half back. In the pack there was Kyle Johnston. Couldn't mark. Again, it's worked back into Gisborne hands. Eel was dispossessed in the tackle by Mulqueen, who went back in, picked it up. Getting buffeted out of the way of that football for the Dogs was Matt McDonald. It came out though. Gisborne go inside forward 50 through De Ruyter, who tumbles the kick inside, but bursting out for the Dragons is Ben Worm, who runs his full distance and then some, has a bounce, flicks the handball over the top towards Tom Kay, who backpedals, falls over. He got the handball out to Sims, who picked up and handballed now, and Dragons work it back through Kay. Kay pops it over the top back to Sims, all on the outer side wing for Sandhurst. Sims moves the ball forward by hand, but they're stuck in the van here. Going back in was Kay. Freak in there for the Dogs to disrupt it. They might be able to take possession. Bell Bartels spinning through the traffic. Little bit of composure. Handball infield. Found a teammate in Brancatizano who had a fumble. Now back to Freak as the Dogs work it by hand to half forward. There is no science in this whatsoever. It is absolute chaos football at the moment from Gisborne, and they've given away a free kick going against Freak for a hold. So at half-back, the Dogs will take it, or the Dragons will take it, in fact, and Coughlin has it in hand.
So Coughlin has it in hand, but he sends it straight back to Gisborne, and they get a quick intercepting mark, bang it inside forward 50. At the back, here's a chance for the Bulldogs through Jones, but it just took a bad bounce, and Sandhurst are happy to see that one over the boundary line, but Harry Jones, if it just had a sack for him, he would have been in for the opening goal of this contest, Ben.
Yeah, I think Sanders might have liked to get a point there. This is going to look dangerous now.
So it sets him up inside forward 50 as the boundary umpire heaves the ball in the Rifle Brigade pocket. Jones goes up and does the ruck work, knocks it to ground, and content to see it over the boundary line is Jeremy Ellis. What do you make of this one early, Hamish?
Well, I think, like Norm mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of inside 50s for Gisborne, but they just have not been able to capitalise. So Marty would be really keen for them to get a goal on the scoreboard.
Ball thrown back in. Jones and Sexton in ruck. Jones for the Dogs. One tap, two. Takes it out of the ruck, throws it on the boot.
Another point.
But misses away to the right. His left foot snap just brought it back a little bit too far, but it was a nice bit of work in that contest from big Harry Jones. 5 behinds, Gisborne. Sandhurst are yet to score. 9 minutes gone, opening term, thanks to Priority One Property on Bendigo's Fresh FM.
So they're backing Ben Worm in, who sends a long ball that's gone all of 55 metres and flying high over the pack for the Dragons. Mark should have been taken. I thought he had clean hands on that one, Ben.
Yeah, I thought Bob could have paid that one.
Absolutely.
It was Sexton, wasn't it?
It was a spectacular fly from Sexton. So stoppage on the top of 50. Dragons knock it down through Sexton. In hard for the Dragons was Coughlin, but it spills out for the Bulldogs through Roby Lane. Feeds a handball right back, and they're going to come into the middle of the ground where they'll find the dangerous Liam. The mark's been intercepted beautifully by James Flemick for the Dragons. He turns around, sends it towards the top of 50. Murley's the target. He's got it.
He'll
look to go inside the 50 quickly. Here's a chance for the Dragons for the first goal. Right to the top of the square it goes. Sims almost struggled the mark. Spilled out the back, and the Bulldogs might come away with it. It'll come through Nick Smith.
Yeah, Smith is able to look up and find Spear at half-back, so Liam Spear marks, plays on, kicks down the line and finds the chest of Jones. Jones has got it between wing and right half-forward. Looks to pump Gisborne into attack. Does. Looks for Slater. Kicks in that direction. Ball over the back. It'll spill for Vernon, who runs on, collects. No! Couldn't collect at the top of the goal square. Ball goes to ground. And the Sandhurst defence is again able to scramble and rush it through for another behind. Gisborne are up to a goal, but they've done it all in minor scores. They are 6 behinds. Sandhurst are yet to score. We have played 10.5 minutes in the opening term, thanks to the Holden Colorado at Poyser Holden on Bendigo's Fresh FM. And gee, there's some opportunity cost here for the Dragons, Ben.
Yes, I think the floodgate's going to open if Gisborne score a final goal.
So Ben Worm goes down the pool side. Intended target was Sexton. He fumbled with it a little bit, which allowed the Bulldogs to come in and put heaps of pressure. Ball spills out the back to Kay. He turns around and hugs the boundary line, then fires a kick down the line. Going in hard there for the Dragons is Featherby. Tackling pressure was from Lockie Baker, which forces the kick to be out of bounds on the full. So it'll be a turnover. The ball will go the way of the Dragons in the possession of Lockie Baker, who's almost in the middle of the QEO pool side.
And the Sandhurst boys starting to get themselves into this game. They're getting a bit more of the football than what they had early.
Just starting to get their hands on it a little bit more, Normie. Good pick up. So long kick down the line from Baker. And a massive fly at half forward for the Dragons. Not paid at mark to O'Farrell, I think it was, who came crashing through the pack, which is really something that he does bring to the table. Working through the contest for the Dragons was Featherby, trying to get the football out at right half forward. It slides inside the 50 for the Dragons, picked up by Sims. Quick handball over the top toward Flemick, working in the right forward pocket. But the Gisborne defence on this occasion is able to scramble and force the ball out of bounds for a boundary throw in the right forward pocket. Really only the second time we've seen it inside 50 for the Dragons all game at the Barnard Street end. We've played 12 minutes in the opening term. It's Gisborne by 6 points.
And young O'Farrell in the hands of the slow back to his feet.
So keep an eye on that one for us, Normie, as we're going to have to do it all again with the throw. So second time lucky, the boundary umpire heaves the ball in. Here's a chance for the Dragons. At the back was Featherby. Gave off a handball to Kay. Worked through the pack and then just sent it towards the top of the square. But there's two Gisborne players that spoiled each other. There's a chance for the Dragons. It's hacked off the ground by Coughlin. He's got it. And after all Gisborne's early dominance in this one, the Dragons get their first goal to go 1 straight 6. Gisborne are yet to score a goal, but they've got 6 behinds. So it's 6 apiece. We played 10.5 in the opening quarter, thanks to Priority One Property.
Gee, that's a big blow as far as Gisborne are concerned, Hamish, given that they dominated this opening stage and then they concede the first goal. Yeah,
look, that's exactly what Martin wanted. They've had about 10 inside 50s, I think, and like you said, 2 inside 50s or 2 or 3 to Sandhurst, and all of a sudden they've got to go on the board and it's even.
Something out of nothing for Sandhurst. Back in the middle, Sexton and Jones in ruck. Jones for the Dogs, controls it down and then gets the tap, but Sexton batted it out of his hands right as he was going to get the kick away. Then Sims spin through the traffic in the centre of the ground. Got the handball onto Robinson for the Dogs, but mopping up defensively was Vernon. Handball away to Lakey. Lakey comes off half-back through Brancatizano, who kicks down the line, and a terrific mark judged beautifully by Ben Worm, who floated in over the back of his opposing number there in Darby Pemberton and took the mark. His kick down the line was poor though, picked up by Spear for the Dogs. He spears it into the middle of the ground and they work it now to Brancatizano by hand. A high kick inside 50. Slater at the back of the pack gave a push.
Definite push.
And the free kick will come to the Dragons on the last line of defence. And Blaze Holden, they just haven't been quite clean enough with their inside 50 entries, Ben, the Dogs. They've got it in there plenty, but they haven't directed it all that well.
No, it'll be a bit of a concern for their coach because I always like the inside 50 counts, but they're not making the most of it.
So the Dragons will hug the boundary line down the pool side of the ground. The kick from Holden right towards the boundary line where it is seen over off hands by about 10 different players there.
Sanders have lifted their work rate as well.
Well, sometimes it takes when you're out and down to get one goal, which levels it up on the scoreboard. It can be a bit of a momentum killer for the Bulldogs as the ball's heaved in. About 60 from home now, the Bulldogs, as the Dragons will look to clear. Little stubbing ball, but it works out into the hands of Bale Bartels for the Bulldogs. Gave off the handball. Lakey's in there. Feeds the handball back towards the top of 50. That's a good build-up play, and a good mark's been taken by Charlie Greenwood, 45 metres out, directly in front. And he'll go back and line up for the Gisborne Bulldogs first of the game.
Vital goal for Gisborne to settle them down.
He's dished off the handball to McCaskill, who goes for home and puts it through. Sam McCaskill got it every bit of 50 to put that one through. And the Gisborne Bulldogs get their first of the grand final through Sam McCaskill. They're 1-6-12. The Sandhurst Dragons are 1 straight 6. We have played 11 minutes in the opening quarter thanks to Aussie Disposals.
And interesting to note, out of 10 inside 50s, that's the first time Gisborne's been able to get a mark.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful kick in from Jones as well. A low kick. That's what you like to see, especially from your ruckman, Ben, that they can deliver the ball inside like that.
Yeah, not often the ruckman can kick, is it?
he's a handy type, Big Jones. Back in ruck again here against Sexton. Undecisive tap. Coughlin chases after it for the Dragons. Sliding in for the Dogs was Nick Smith. Has there ever been a bad Nick Smith? I'm not quite sure, but he got a free kick on that occasion. He was caught holding the ball, so Coughlin will take the free kick just forward of the centre circles for the Dragons. Kicks inside forward, 50. Wonderful mark for the Dogs by De Ruyter. Kay had the sit, worked him under the football, and De Ruyter were going back with the flight, stretched his arms above his head and pulled it in on half-back. He's kicked down the line to McDonald. McDonald's kick smothered by O'Farrell. The Dragons flick it out through Vlemick to Worm. Worm kicks inside the 50 and Dixon stretches and marks. Angus Dixon's got it 48 metres from home, directly in front of the bar end, and you'd think this would be right, maybe even beyond his journey.
I'll tell you, this Worm's a fair footballer too for Sanders.
It's featured in senior football this year for them. Dixon on the left boot, kicks into the right forward pocket. Big pack around the football. Gisborne with the numbers. Working hard in that pack was Nick Smith for the Dogs, trying to keep it in but couldn't. And it goes out of play in the right forward pocket. 20 metres around from the Sandhurst goal. Gisborne by 1 straight kick. We've played 17 in the opening term of the under-18 grand final.
So the ball heaved in. South Bendigo poolside change rooms. It's hacked at the bottom of the pack. Flying shot on goal for the Dragons. It's gone through for a minor. So they move to 1-1-7, the Dragons. The Bulldogs are 1-6-12 as we approach red time in this opening quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
That's a fair kick.
Yeah, it was a massive kick outside the defensive 50 for the Dogs. It tumbles all the way past the grandstand wing to attacking side for Gisborne, but it's cut off. And coming back the other way is Jeremy Ellis, who kicks to half forward. Big fly in the pack, came from Mulqueen, couldn't quite get a handle on it. McCaskill socketed it forward toward the boundary line. They chase after it, but no one can keep it in. Charlie Robinson first there to see the ball over. In front of the grandstand here at the QEO, we will have a ball in.
How's the breeze down there, Norm?
No, next to none to talk about, Cam.
1-6-12 Gisborne, 1-1-7 Sandhurst, 18 gone opening term. Again, the Dogs try and work it clear of the stoppage and move the ball forward, but the handball to Bale Bartels coming from De Ruyter was knocked out of play, so we'll have another ball in still on the grandstand wing.
So it's thrown in on the grandstand side. Not forward. Chance for the Dragons. Going in hard was Robertson. Dished off a handball. Eventually it works out to Mattel, who ran himself into a wall. Sent inside forward 50 by Lakey. Intercept marks taken by Ben Worm, who's having a superb game, as Ben mentioned, down back. So Ben Worm has it. Rifle Brigade pocket. Goes all the way across the ground. That's another huge kick. Intended target over there is Johnson, but it just bounces and bounces and bounces. Johnson did really well to keep that alive. Hugs the boundary line. Sends it towards the top of 50 for the Dragons. Vleemick came out, but Gisborne have the numbers. When the ball hits the ground, they'll chip it into the middle of the ground where they'll find Flynn Lakey.
Wonderful kick found Lakey. Lakey handball off to Lane. Lane kicks inside forward 50 over the back. McCaskill runs in, picks up, does he? He has a momentary fumble and the Sandhurst defence gets back. Worm did wonderfully well. Tackled him, picked the ball up. Got the handball away around the corner to Johnston, who tumbles it outside defensive 50 for the Dragons. They are holding on so well in defence. Gisborne try and work it back inside forward 50. Coghlan on the edge of the 50 for the Dragons. Clearing handball to Mulqueen, who bats it back in the direction of a teammate, and then a free kick. Thought it might have been for a throw. It's in fact going to be a high tackle going to Sandhurst. What about the work of Ben Worm on the last line of defence to stop that goal? McCaskill had it on a platter but just couldn't pick it up cleanly. And so Coghlan takes the free kick for the Dragons.
He just sends it long. Not long to go in the opening quarter in the final minute. Dragons have the ball at the top of the 50. Strong tackling by Angus Dixon. He's going to be rewarded. He gets up, sends it inside forward 50 quickly. Vleemick on the lead and he's got it. Great play, Dragons. Terrifically done. And that was really well done by Angus Dixon. He must have knew how long to go because he didn't waste any time getting to his feet and getting the kick inside beautifully.
Yeah, look, Vleemick's got the opportunity here to put Sandhurst in front after the siren at quarter time, and that will be very disappointing for Gisborne if that's the case, with their score being 1-6, 12 points. Sandhurst currently 1-1-7.
So James Vleemick in the left pocket, South Bendigo's social rooms, comes in, puts it on the boot, he likes it. The one finger in the air. And the Dragons are going to take the lead into the quarter-time break against the flow of play. 2-1-13 Sandhurst, Gisborne 1-6.
Second term about to get underway in this under-18 grand final. Sandhurst by 1 point as the ball's tossed up in the air and Jones wins the tap for the Dragons, but chasing after it and getting it inside 50 was Coghlan of the Dragons, who kicks long. Spear came out to meet it for the Dogs, but his kicks floated out of bounds on the full. And Spectator just on the other side of the fence here.
I think they're looking directly into the sun.
Cover. Yeah, I'm not sure he had any idea where that ball was because he hardly turned away from it and almost clobbered him straight in the face, Cam. So free kick will be taken for the Dragons by Zach Featherby, who just guides it wonderfully inside the forward 50, and sliding into mark is Sean O'Farrell, who will go back and kick from 45 metres out on a slight angle to the right of centre, kicking to the city, and that was a wonderful pass inside the 50, Ben.
Well, he was able to do that because pretty poor defence by Gisborne, leaving a massive big hole there in front of goal.
So Sean O'Farrell, who starred for football this season for Catholic College on this very ground a couple of times. He'll kick from just inside the 50. Strikes it on the left boot and guides it through magnificently. Absolutely wonderful finish from Sean O'Farrell, and the Dragons go back-to-back within the opening minute of the second term, having kicked their second goal after the siren of quarter time. Sandhurst 3-1-19, Gisborne 1-6-12, minute and a half gone to every quarter on Bendigo's Fresh FM, thanks to Aussie Disposals. And Hamish, that was a wonderful start for Sandhurst.
Yeah, look, never looked like missing there. All the Sandhurst players started running towards Sean there as he kicked the ball and he had to move. So it was a great cut there from 40 out, 45-degree angle.
So we go up in the ruck. It's one down by Sexton beautifully to Coghlan, who just threw a high ball on the boot. Goes every bit of 50 metres in the air, that is, as it works forward. Bulldogs player running through there, tried to use the boundary line to his advantage, but kept it in beautifully, did Blake, before he tapped it back into play, and he's going to get it again. Here's Cassidy. Cassidy's little kick, it came off the side of the boot. Not sure his intended target there was Charlie Greenwood, but that's where it goes. It bounced beautifully for him, who dished off a handball, who ran himself into a lot of trouble, did Ozan. It's turned over. Sexton for the Dragons. Handballs to Worm, then Worm goes with a little kick out of defence. Juggling the mark for the Dragons was Sean O'Farrell right in front of the Sandhurst bench. Grandstand side of the QEO which is absolutely bathed in sunshine, Joel.
She's telling this boy. He slams it down the grandstand side on the left boot.
Oh.
Big flying a mark from Jones, who's already shown some of his own wares in this term. Jones kicks it forward and finds McCaskill, who's between the wing and half forward. Kicks inside the 50. Working his man under the football there for the Dogs was Mitchell Blake, who's might end up with the football here as it trickles out toward the boundary line in the right forward pocket for Gisborne. Alice with him right there for company. Can't keep it in. And we'll have a throw in 45 out from the Gisborne goal. They need to start really moving the ball with a bit more conviction inside the forward 50. All thrown back in. Ozan and Sexton go up in ruck. Sexton had the better of it for the Dragons. Kick comes clear of the 50 inside the centre square for Featherby. Featherby chips it over the top in the path of Flemick, who runs inside 50, collects, steadies and dribbles through a wonderful goal. How about that from Sandhurst? From a stoppage inside the defensive 50, 2 kicks the length of the ground, and Flemick's got 2. Suddenly the Dragons lead by 13 points, and we've only played 3 minutes in the second term. Sandhurst 4-1-25, Gisborne are 1-6-12. That is thanks to Aussie Disposals on Bendigo's Fresh FM, and that's magnificent play from Sandhurst, Benny.
Yeah, and it shows a fair bit of confidence from Flemick to dribble a ball through like that on an angle when he could have just straight kick. But confidence riding high, go with it.
There's been a change in this second quarter. It's Sandhurst that are getting the takeaways from the stoppages.
So Jones knocks the ball down to the ground, backs to Slater, gets it. They come out of the middle now, the Bulldogs. Player diving in on top of the foot. He had his head absolutely collected. Is going to get himself a free kick, which is Seb Bell-Bartels, who was absolutely superb in that opening quarter. Goes with the ball inside forward 50. Just went over the head of Mitchell Blake. It spills out the back. Dragons player coughed up the handball. Firing shot on goal for the Bulldogs right to the line. And happy to see it through for a behind was Kyle Johnson as he touches it right on the line. Kick might have been Matthew Cassidy of the Bulldogs. 1-7-13 now Gisborne. Sandhurst 4-1-25. 4.5 played in the second quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
So the Dragons work it into the back pocket. Taken by Baker, who slams it down the wing. Sexton and McCaskill wrestle. Getting in there was Jones. He just literally handed it off to McCaskill, who was running past. There was no handball involved. He just put it into his lap. Handball inside in the corridor for Gisborne through Murphy, who kicks a high ball inside the forward 50. The Dragons defence holds up again. Running off half-back was Alice. Got the kick away as he was tackled. It tumbles to the wing out in front of Coughlin, who really looked like he almost gave up the chase there, thinking it was going to go out. Keeping it in for the Dogs was Matt McDonald, who slams it back to right half forward. Coming out strongly in front is Eels. Has he been paid the mark? He has. Big Ben Eels has got it. 70 metres from home for the Dogs. Kicks inside forward 50. Slater in the pack. Can't mark. Getting a quick shot on goal for Gisborne. Bouncing it toward goal was Blake. But it's away to the left. And only a minor score. 1-8-14 Gisborne. Gee, they've missed some chances. 4-1-25 Sandhurst. We've played 6 in the second term on Bendigo's Fresh FM. That is thanks to the Holden Colorado at Poyser Holden.
So Ben Worm gets a big run up, looking like he was going to absolutely sing a long kick, but he fooled everyone and goes short to Blaze Holden, and Holden's kick just fell short there. Dragons can work it towards the top of 50 where the mark will be taken by James Mattel. So Mattel has it. Attacking side of 50 for the Dragons. He goes short. Finds Lockie Baker. They're on the grandstand side of the QEO. 70 out from their defensive goal. Umpire tells him to move it on, so he just sends it down the wing right towards the top of 50, wanting a fly. Coming for that fly was Harry Fisk-Keeley. Ball came to ground. Surely just threw the ball away, and it's going to be a free kick. Terrific tackling pressure by the Dragons. It's Angus Dixon. He just didn't think about that kick. It goes inside forward 50, but the mark's been dropped for the Bulldogs, but they're able to recover through Matthew Cassidy, who gave off a handball. They fly a long kick down towards the pull side wing of the QEO through Freak. Murley's back to the Dragons. Dishes off the handball to Robertson. Now they look to come forward. Good little kick in the middle of the ground finds Mulqueen, where they can try and slow things up. Mulqueen moves around onto the right. Good looking kick inside forward 50. Good defensive play by Gisborne, just to spoil it, but it comes out the back to Tom Kay. Tom Kay he fires on goal! Absolutely superb goal by the little man, Tom Kay. And you heard what the crowd thought about that one in the background, and Sandhurst start to work themselves into a lead after some missed opportunities in that opening quarter from the Bulldogs. 1-8-14 Gisborne, 5-1-31 Sandhurst, 7.5 played in the second quarter. Thanks to Holden, Colorado. That's the boys of Holden.
And Sandhurst making the most of their inside 50s. That's 4 this quarter for 3 goals.
The other thing what stands out is Sanders tackling pressure and pressure around the ball, which is what Gisborne's noted for, but Sanders have taken it to a next level.
Ball back in the middle, and really it's almost danger signs here for the Dogs. They just need to start getting a move on. They have dominated the ball and just can't put it on the scoreboard. And Sanders now really with the ascendancy, just starting to tick along nicely. He's firing at the stoppage, massive pack around the football, still in the centre circles. It hasn't cleared the area. It's bouncing around like a pinball among 15 sets of legs. And Scott Baxter comes in, scoops the ball up and throws it high into the sky here at the Queen Elizabeth Oval. Sims with the takeaway kick, lunging out was O'Farrell at the top of the 50. Couldn't mark. That'll be a free kick surely to the Dragons. Cassidy went through the pack, took on 2 tackles, didn't get rid of it effectively. Didn't come off though. Clearing kick for the Dogs only as far as Worm, who kicks back to half forward. Spear leads the race there. In fact, he does, and then spins on a dime and cuts the kick inboard. It's a wonderful pass as well. He's found Jack Ozan. That was terrific play from Liam Spear. Ozan chips out wide and finds Riley Vernon on the grandstand side wing.
So Riley Vernon has it. He's pointing for someone to give him an option. Eventually just chips it short, and that's lucky to be the required distance, but the umpire gives him a bit of leniency. So Spear has it. He wheels around onto his right foot, sends it right to the top of 50, flying high for the Bulldogs, unable to take the mark. Was Harry Jones. Spills out the back. Here's a chance for the Dogs. It can be a flying shot on goal through Seb Bell Bartels. And it's gone through to the near side. Through for a minor. And it seems to be the story of the day. Through for a minor. 1-9-15 now Gisborne. Sandhurst 5-1-31. 9.5 played second quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
And the Gisborne wastefulness continues.
Surely
10 scoring shots to 6, and the team that's had 6 is doubling the score.
It's amazing. Worm kicks in long for the Dragons. A big fly came from Lachlan Costello. Couldn't mark. Handball out. Doing well was Flynn Lakey. He got it off to a teammate who kicks high inside the forward 50 for the Dogs. Comes to ground. Slater's there. Spins through the traffic. Ran into a wall. Absolutely ran into a wall, Baxter Slater. He was claimed and taken to ground. Murdoch Mulqueen with a saving tackle catches him holding the ball. And on the last line of defence, the Dragons can clear once again, and Baxter Slater just hasn't had an opportunity early. Mulqueen kicks long toward half-back on the grandstand side. Bodies fly in. Good tackle from Featherby. That's been paid holding the ball as well. And that's desperately unlucky for Tom Bird. And so Featherby will take the free kick from half-back for the Dragons.
Absolutely ripped Tom Bird off the footy there as well, Zach Featherby. So he's keen to get and go. Gets up, sends it to the top of 50, falls about 20 metres short, and the Dragons will have it. Liam Spear picks up for the Bulldogs, sends it towards the paint of 50. Mark's been taken beautifully by Tom Bird. So Bird has it. They're about 60 from home now, the Bulldogs. Little chipping ball inside forward 50 is brilliant. And the mark has been taken 45 metres out, just to the left of the goalpost, South Bendigo Social Room's pocket, and it'll be Sam McCaskill that'll go back for goal. What do you like his chances from here, Hamish? What do you think of his chances from here, Hamish?
Look, there's a little bit of an angle to it, but he's shown us that he can kick it, as Joel's just said. So let's see how he goes here.
So Sam McCaskill wheels around onto the right, sends it all the way. It fades, it fades, it fades.
What's a power fade on it?
Another behind. That wind must be playing some sort of trick out there. 1-10-16 Gisborne. Sandhurst 5-1-31, 11.5 played in the second quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
Like one of my drives on the golf course, Cam. It just kept going and no one really had any control over it. Worm kicks in long defensively for the Dogs. Sexton worked out of it by Bell Bartels, who takes the mark on the edge of 50 at left half forward. So Seb Bell Bartels kicks long inside forward 50 to a big pack at full forward, and a mark to Gisborne. Jones has pulled it in among 8 bodies. Harry Jones stood tallest, claimed it above his head, and will go back from 25 metres out directly in front, and surely, well, he really needs to steer this one home.
That was great by Bell Bartels out there on the flank as well. Able to outmark someone about a foot taller and 15 kilos heavier in Sexton, so it'll be good to see if they can capitalise here.
So Harry Jones comes in for a much-needed goal for the Dogs. He's got it. Jones steadies the ship for Gisborne. The margin is back to 9 points. 2-10-22. Gisborne plays Sandhurst 5-1-31. 12 and a half gone second term. That is thanks to Aussie Disposals on Bendigo's Fresh FM, and that is a vital goal for them, Ben.
Yes, certainly is. I know Baxter Slater's come off for a well-earned break. He's looking like he's a bit cooked.
Just quietly, Ben, what do you think of Baxter's haircut? The shaved top and then sides and then the mullet at the back.
I love it, mate, because if I could have some hair, I'd be able to make some choices. He can make choices I can't.
Got options.
So the ball goes in the ruck. It was Sexton knocking it down into the hands of Coughlin, who just smashed the handball forward, but it's all Gisborne back there. They'll chip wide now, the Bulldogs, but the kick came a little bit wide of its intended target, which was Sam McCaskill, and the ball will be thrown in. Baxter Slater's just come off. He looked like he might have been limping a little bit down there, Norm. Anything down there, you reckon?
No, I don't think he's not worried about it. He's standing up in front of the box and just keeping an eye on play.
So it's thrown in right in front of the Gisborne bench. And while the Gisborne player's claiming out of bounds on the full, and it might have came off Charlie Robinson's foot, probably unluckily, but he's going to be paid a free kick against him. The kick will be with Tom Bird.
So Bird just floats the kick toward half forward. O'Farrell in the pack, couldn't mark. Ozan took it off hands. Doing wonderfully well in the centre of the ground was Murphy, who got the handball away to a diving teammate there. Went to ground, did his teammate who picked it up, got it out, Ben Eales. Eales got it away to McCaskill. McCaskill to full forward for Jones, who can't mark. Can he collect it on the goal line? He can't. His handball over his head, looking for a teammate, went into dispute and rushing it through his worm. Well, eventually, Worm's handball went to Mulqueen, who then was able to paddle it across the behind line. 2-11-23 Gisborne, 5-1-31 Sandhurst, 14 and a half gone in his second term thanks to Priority One property. Hamish, does it look like they're just getting some sort of semblance of control back, the Dogs?
Yeah, it does. They are starting to use the ball a little bit better, particularly when going inside 50. They've been able to kick it to the advantage of their teammates, and that's making a big difference.
So Ben Worm chips it straight down the middle. Mark's been taken, and the short little handball. They come through Coughlin now, who bangs it into the middle of the ground. But down there, and a good strong mark's been taken by Liam Spear. In the middle of the QEO for Gisborne, Liam Spear has it. On the right, sends it inside forward 50, wanting for Fly. Ball spears out the back, which is a chance for Matthew Cassidy. He collects. Handball over the top, but it's a wall of Sandhurst players down there. The Gisborne players do well to fire a shot towards the top of the square, and the mark has been taken by Harry Jones. Something out of nothing for the Bulldogs. Jones plays on because there's no one on the mark and puts it through Stevie J style. He's got two in the quarter. 3-11-29 Gisborne. They are slowly catching the Dragons. 5-1-31. 15 and a half played in the second quarter thanks to Priority One property. The margin's now just 2 points.
And Gisborne's starting to dominate inside 50s again. It's 9-4 this quarter and taking their marks when the ball goes inside 50.
I don't know whether they maybe thought that that ball was going to flow through from behind. It looked to be a lot of urgency in that pack, Ben. Jones sort of just thought, oh, there's the ball, and just clutched it to his chest.
It looked like a fell into his chest, didn't it?
It really didn't have a lot of opposition to stop it from happening. In the restart, Coughlin, a high kick to half forward, and a well-judged mark taken by Lockie Baker. Is just behind the front edge of the centre square. Kicks inside forward 50. Vlemick worked his way through the contest. Kicked while he was out of bounds. Umpire didn't pay it. His kick floated across the face of goal. Anyhow, was marked by Liam Spear for the Dogs on the last line of defence, who clears out toward half-back. Not being able to keep it in was Pat de Ruyter. And the ball goes out of play for a throw-in in front of the netball courts, where the score is 21-18 in the 17 and under grand final, the way of Sandhurst. So the Dragons, undefeated this season in the 17 and unders, lead Gisborne by 3 goals.
So the ball goes up, pull side. The kick's absolutely skewed off the side of the boot there by Zach Featherby. Things went charging through. It was wrapped in a tackle. It was a superb tackle by Liam Spear. Not sure he ever had clear possession of the footy though, Ben, but he's going to be given holding the ball.
Oh, he had it all right. That was a magnificent tackle.
So Liam Spear has it for the Bulldogs. They come wide, goes right towards the boundary line where the mark will be taken by Matt McDonald in front of the Gisborne bench. McDonald chips and finds Lakey. Lakey dishes off the handball to Brand Canasto. Back to Lakey. Handball over the top now. They're working it nicely, other Bulldogs, to Murphy. Inside forward 50 they go. And a free kick for some front-on contact is going to go the way of the Bulldogs. And it'll be taken by Riley Vernon. So Vernon wanted to get his go.
She tried to improve the angle by 10 metres there.
And the umpires are having none of that. So
that's classic goal sneakery.
So eventually he looks for a couple of options and then he thinks, I'm going to have to go back and have the shot for goal.
Runs in the family. His brother Jared kicked bags and bags of goals for Gisborne in the under-18s a few years ago.
Actually, I think he's kicked the second most for Gisborne this year.
So Riley Vernon will pick it from the paint of 50. He wheels around on the right foot, sits it up to the top of the goal square, falls about 20 metres short. Big fly for the Bulldogs. Unable to take the mark. Dragons will get a clearing kick when the ball hits the ground. Goes in the direction of Coughlin. He was sought upon by some hot Gisborne tacklers. And the pressure is really up in this one. And it'll be thrown in right in front of the players' race on the South Bendigo poolside change rooms. Gisborne are 3-11-29. The Dragons are 5-1-31 as we approach half-time in the under-18s grand final, thanks to Aussie Disposals.
Harry Jones almost pulled in another mark. He's having some sort of day. Ball on the outer side for the Dogs in the hands of Darby Pemberton, who was thrown across the boundary line. It'll be, in fact, he was dispossessed before he was thrown over the boundary line. So it will come back and be a free kick for the Dragons. So long kick down the line, floats over the back of the paint. Out there, Gisborne in possession. Man with the football, Matty Cassidy, who kicks back toward half forward, and a good mark taken by Worm. How good has he been across half back for Sandhurst today? Again, reads the ball so beautifully. And he's got it in his hands at left half back, 65 out from his defensive goal with a minute left in the second term, and he's side up by 2 points.
You could argue it was his desperation late in the last quarter last week which got him over the line against Strathfield Hayes. He kicks down the line and finds Connor Sexton. Sexton dangs it inside forward 50. But the opposing number 17 of the Bulldogs, which is Liam Spear, takes the ball over the boundary line. And it's going to be a free kick.
Yeah.
Too high, did you say, Jolie? Yep. So the free kick's going to be with the Bulldogs. They have it underneath the scoreboard here at the QEO, which reads 3-11-29, Sandhurst 5-1-31, 9.5 played in the second quarter, thanks to Aussie Disposals.
So Spear finds Bell Bartels, who's just going to slow the ball down between the wing and half back on the outer side. Oh no, his kick inside the corridor was terrible. Turned over to Coughlin. Coughlin kicks inside the 50. They're going to get away with it, the Dogs. Lane marks inside defence, and then his kick was out of bounds to Bell Bartels, and James Blemick's got the ball on the boundary line with 5 seconds left in the quarter. He plays on, runs inside in the left forward pocket, has a shot on goal on the siren! James Blemick! You are kidding! He kicked a goal after the quarter time siren. He's kicked another. Sandhurst lead by 8 points in the under-18 grand final for season 2018 with the second half on Bendigo's Fresh FM. You're with Camp Power.
So the ball goes up in the air. Harry Ozan knocks the ball down for the Bulldogs, but it goes straight down to ground where big pack of players dive on top of the footy and will do it all again. So the tackle coming from Zach Sims. They throw the ball back to the ball, moved about 5 metres forward in the direction of the Dragons' goal as Gisborne will get it. They'll get the clearance and send it. Ben Worm came out, had to jump really high to get that on the bounce, and he took it cleanly. Dishes off a handball into the middle of the ground. The Bulldogs, well, they'll be able to get it back. Intercepting it there was Roby Lane. Lane gave it off, then got it back from Liam Spear before sending a high kick wide. Intended target on the far side of the ground was Dorita. And it comes off hands and it takes a little bit of a bad bounce, and over the boundary line it goes in the middle of the QEO on the pool side of the ground. Less than a minute gone in this third term, and it is an 8-point lead in favour of the Dragons in the under-18s grand final.
Young boundary umpire will spin it back into play. Ozan and Sexton go up in ruck. Ozan worked his way to front spot and tapped it down in the direction of Bell Bartels, who burrowed under the pack. It came out for the Dogs. Doing good work in there was Flynn Lakey. Around the body, a high kick. Cassidy went past it. It spilt to the ground. Firing in on top of the football there was Tom Bird for Gisborne. He's wrapped up in a tackle. Worm again there he was involved in the play. Sean O'Farrell helps out with the tackling duties, and we'll have a ball up 65 metres out from the Gisborne goal. They kick to the city end in this term. Slater's moved onto the ball for the Dogs. Handball through the traffic, came out toward Vernon, who paddled it inside the forward 50. Eels goes past it. Might have a chance now to run the Sandhurst player down, and Winner holding the ball free kick. No, in the back. Big Ben Eels came crashing over the top of Jeremy Ellis. Gave away a free kick, so Ellis takes it inside defensive 50 for the Dragons.
He chips it wide and finds Murley, who takes the mark, gets and goes, has a bounce. He can do that really well when he gets himself into some space, but the kick was nothing to be desired. Spear takes the intercepting mark for the Bulldogs. Comes wide. Good defensive pressure by James Mattel, who was in a one-on-one with a much bigger opponent in Sam McCaskill, who's been one of Gisborne's better players, and well, that is a win for James Mattel to get that one over the boundary line, Ben.
Yeah, it certainly was. I thought, what's number one, McCaskill, was just going to throw him through the fence.
So the ball's heaved back in, right in the middle of the QEO on the grandstand side. Flicking out a handball was McCaskill. Able to run onto it, might have been taken without the footy after he got rid of the handball. He'll get himself a free kick. The defender there was Charlie Robertson. So McCaskill will load it up inside forward 50. He goes towards the hot spot. Who can get a good run and fly at the footy? It spills out the back. Here's a chance for the Bulldogs through Eels. It goes right to the boundary. And right to the boundary line it goes. In fact, it has gone over the boundary line, and it'll be thrown in deep inside the Rifle Brigade forward pocket for the Sandhurst Dragons.
Ball comes spinning back into play. Sexton wins it down. Worm went through the pack. It's burrowed out though. Lane might have been held off the football for the Dogs. Nothing coming. Comes back to Bell. Bartels at the back of the pack. He fires away and curls the kick around his body, but misses to the left-hand side. It floats out of bounds on the full. Penalty free kick will be taken on the last line of defence. And the man to take that free kick will be Charlie Robinson. Slams it back into play. Big fly came from Murphy of the Dogs. Vernon did the roving. Handball quickly away to Bird, to Bell Bartels, who spun out of the tackle for the Dogs. Kicks inside the forward 50 towards Eels. It's roved by Slater. He got the handball away. Didn't get it to a teammate though. Working hard though. Doing well was Flynn Lakey. Back to Vernon. High kick. Around the body. Jones. Up. Couldn't mark. Lane at his feet. Slams it through. Roby Lane, classic bit of roving. Jones brought the ball to ground, and Lane was in the right spot at the right time and found an open lane to goal. 6-1-37 Sandhurst, 4-11-35 Gisborne. 4 gone in the third term. First blood of this second half goes to the Dogs on Bendigo's Fresh FM. That is thanks to Aussie Disposals.
And as we saw in the first quarter, once again it's the Dogs dominating the early play with inside 50s. Sandhurst haven't been over the centre line for the quarter.
The voice of Norm Jenkins down on the boundary line for Bendigo's Fresh FM, where local footy is our first choice, as the ball goes back up in the middle. Knocking the ball down to the ground for the Dragons was Ozan. Feeds out a handball. They come wide. Good little play for the Gisborne. Lakey got it. Might have been dealt with after he got rid of the footy, but it comes to about 60 from home, where Ben Worm can intercept for the Dragons. Chip into the middle of the ground and find Robertson, who was keen to get the ball going right. Now he's got Murley on the far side of the ground. And manning the mark closely up the Gisborne Bulldogs. We know when Murley gets himself into some space, he can get and go. Chips back in the middle of the ground. The intended target was Robinson, but it just fell short of him. Might be a turnover here. Tackling pressure comes from the Bulldogs. Bird comes to lead a hand for the Dragons. No one able to really get anything effective. It's just smash forward for the Bulldogs. Defender there was James Mattel, who dished off a handball. Almost wasn't expecting it, Charlie Robinson, and it looked like it because he dropped the ball. Coming through now is McCaskill for Gisborne. It's just smashed forward and diving in, taking a slips mark for the Bulldogs. And they'll look to go inside forward 50.
So the Dogs will come inside the forward 50. It was a great mark from Nick Smith. Tumbling kick out the back. Dragons with numbers. Taken by Murdoch Mulqueen. Handball over the top. Worked to Robinson, who tried to fake around an opponent in Eels, but dropped the football as he went to kick it. It was picked up by Bell Bartels, who copped a knock as he tried to keep the football in the field of play. It's one thing to, I guess, fake out your opponent's, Hamish. It's another thing to fake out yourself. When
you've still got to hold on to the ball. He just let it down on the ground there, and Gisborne come and applied the pressure.
Oh, wonderful work from the stoppage from Murphy, who bursts onto it, kicks to full forward. It floats over the head of Jones and through for another behind for the Dogs. Margin a point, 4-12-36 Gisborne, 6-1-37 Sandhurst. 6.5 gone in the third term on Bendigo's Fresh FM, where local footy is our first choice.
So they'll steam in. Worm gave off a kick and they're just getting into some space for Johnson. He had one bounce, he had a second, and then the ball didn't come back to him, and he was almost running too quick that he socketed it forward by accident and finds the boundary line. So a little bit too quick for himself there, I reckon, is Kyle Johnson, Ben.
Yes, I think the Gisborne coach will be a little bit worried. They're creating opportunities, but they're not taking them, still kicking points. What's that, 16 inside, 50s to 7.
So Ozam wins the hit down for the Bulldogs from the throw-in, but it goes the way of the Dragons. They kick it towards the top, the middle of the ground. Intercepting now, they go inside forward 50, the Bulldogs. Oh, it was a good intercept mark. James Lemick led out to it. And they'll go deep inside forward 50, the Bulldogs. The kick was from Brand Canasto, and it will be thrown in the forward pocket. Rifle Brigade pocket here. Umpire heaves the ball back in. Taking the ball out of the ruck was Jones, who fired it on the boot. Comes off hands. Partially smothered, and it'll be thrown in almost where we started the first throw in from. We'll do it all again.
Right forward pocket, inside forward 50 for the Dogs. They trail by a point, 7.5 gone in this under-18 grand final in the third term. Jones wins it down decisively, but the clearing kick from O'Farrell has been marked by Braden Spear. 45 metres from home, 45-degree angle to the right.
That's just poor defensive work by Sandhurst's forwards. They weren't pushing up to their men that had clearly gone into the space in front of them, and that's allowed a mark inside 50.
So
it's been given off.
Braden Spear, handballs off to Liam Spear, who ran himself into trouble, got the handball away inside forward 50, and now back out. Now McDonald for the Dogs, kicks inside to the right forward pocket, scooping it up. Wonderfully well was Worm again, who then fashions the pass along the boundary line. He has been an absolute rock in defence, Ben Worm. Magnificent play from the young Dragons defender. He found Featherby, but Featherby's kick went straight to the opposing centre-half back, who's also been outstanding in Liam Spear.
So Spear has it. And
a bit of a
torpedo. It's barreling its way inside forward 50. Big fly. Unable to take the mark. It spills to the ground. Flying shot on goal from Jones. In fact, it was Ben Eales that had the flying shot, and it's gone out of bounds on the full. And if you're not looking at the goals, you're probably not going to be able to find a way to goal.
Eales has got up just a little bit sore there as well, clutching at the left elbow.
So the Dragons will get the clearing kick right to the top of 50. Flying high was Liam Spear, and the way he's going, he probably almost would have plucked it. Just having one of those games, and he's really come into this game in the third quarter as Liam Spear.
Yeah, and Sanders are quite happy to choke up this forward line here, aren't they?
So they have the ball on the top of 50. Sexton knocks it down in the direction of Dixon. Fumbled with it. They dive on top of him. Tackling there is Jack Ozan. It's been a good battle in the ruck, I thought, between Ozan and Connor Sexton. Hard to pick out a clear winner in that one.
Yeah, Sexton's been doing the duties. Ozan and Jones have shared it for the Dogs. This time maybe Sexton from the back spot. Paddling it out for the Dogs was for the Dragons, in fact, into the centre of the ground where Murley was taken down. Spinning through Liam Spear, been outstanding. High kick to the wing, though, going to be cut off by Coghlan. So Pete Coghlan, defensive side of the grandstand wing for the Dragons. Kicks long toward half forward. Going back with the flight, Featherby. Couldn't mark. Doing well in defence for the Dogs was Nick Smith. Shared the handball with Vernon and got it back. Smith on the grandstand side wing. Cuts the kick inboard. It's going to be chopped off, though, for Sexton for the Dogs. Sexton shares it by hand into the centre circles with Tom Kay, who's off and galloping. Chips inside the forward 50 at the feet of Dixon. Picked it up wonderfully well on the half volley. Turned around. Left foot kick. The full forward. Flemick. Mark. Open goal. James Flemick's got 4. Sandhurst find the answer 10 minutes into this third term. 7-1-43 the Dragons, 4-12-36 Gisborne. 10.5 gone, third quarter of this grand final in the under-18s. That is thanks to Poyser Holden on Bendigo's Fresh FM.
Yeah, Sandhurst's first time inside 50 and made the most of their opportunity. Gisborne working hard, but need to make more of it.
They're heartbreakers for the Gisborne coach. They thought they've had to play all quarter, get it down there once and goal for Sandhurst.
So the ball will go up in the middle. The next goal becomes pretty crucial in this one as Sexton wins the hit down, but it's just going to be smashed forward for the Bulldogs. It bounces inside right to the paint of 50. It took a bad bounce, so it didn't quite go in. Tracking back there for the Dragons was Ellis. And it might have been a free kick plucked out here. It has. It's going the way of Seb Barb. In fact, it's going to Mitchell Blake. So Blake gets it and sends it to the hot spot for Gisborne. Flyers wanted, got one. It comes out the back. Slater gets it. Bouncing footy. That is a beautiful roving goal from Baxter Slater. And you just knew that he had to do something in this grand final. And he does just that. A goal that brings it back to a point the margin. 5-12-42 Gisborne. 7-1-43 Sandhurst. 11.5 played in the third. Thanks to Priority One Property.
Well, he needed to do something. He's had a pretty quiet game so far for being the McDonald medalist, but this is when it counts. Second half.
You just knew that he was going to get himself into the game somehow.
Well,
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. He's been one of Gisborne's players that needs to stand up, and that goal's something that was much needed for Gisborne as an answer to Sandhurst.
The ball goes up in the middle. Sexton again wins the hit down duties. Going through was Murphy for the Bulldogs. Picked up nicely by Worm for the Dragons, who fed a handball to Coughlin, who gave it back to Worm. Then Worm was tackled, forcing a turnover here. Roby Lane gets it for the Dogs. They come wide now. Pull side, they attack. The intended target on the far side of the ground was McCaskill. Took a bad bounce for him, but he was able to follow it up with the tackling pressure. No one able to really get a clean position. They throw it forward to Gisborne. Sandhurst players going in on top of the footy, trying to claim a mark was Jack Ozan, but the Dragons will get it. In the middle of the ground they'll go, but it's a turnover kick which will be sent straight back in from Spear. It's a barrelling ball. It bounces one way, it bounces the other. Going in hard, picking up the footy was decapitated, surely, and he's going to get himself a free kick. And it is going the way of Baxter Slater, and he got up and he was dealt with. 50-metre penalty, and if there is one player that you don't want to give away a 50-metre penalty to, it's Baxter Slater. He's going to have 2 goals in a minute, and this could really fire up the medal
I'll tell you,
winner.
it's that Liam Spear. He's been playing a very good quarter this quarter. He's setting up their forward attacks, Liam Spear.
So Baxter Slater puts the Bulldogs in front. 6-12-48 Gisborne, 7-1-43 Sandhurst, 13.5 played in the third quarter thanks to Priority One Property, and Baxter Slater looks like he's fanned himself into this one.
Yeah, absolutely, and as Ben mentioned there, Liam Spear happy to leave his player and intercepted across half back, and that's given Slater the opportunity up forward, and he's now capitalising, and it's a massive thing for Gisborne.
His teammates have recognised what he's done too. They've gone over to Liam Spear, even though Baxter's kicked 2 goals. Liam Spear's been congratulated by his teammates. A job well done by him.
And we've had 5 bounces this quarter, and every one of them's gone Gisborne's way. Converse to the second quarter where Sandhurst were getting the ball out of the centre.
How's the mood down on the 2 benches there, Normie?
Yeah, quite good. Gisborne are up and about, and the Sandhurst boys a little bit quieter.
So the ball's one down out of the middle and sent inside forward 50 for the Bulldogs through Flint Lakey. It comes to the about 35 metres out. Lakey just worked his way forward, almost found himself through before he was taken in the tackle by Murdoch Mulqueen. And the ball is at the bottom of the pack, and there's 6 players on it, and it'll be balled up. 35 from home. All the momentum seems to be going the way of Gisborne. Goes up, knocking the ball down was Sexton, who's been really good in the ruck, but the Gisborne boys are starting to get their hands on it. The kick comes inside to Slater, roving the ball nicely. Firing shot on goal by Bart Bartels. Seb Bartels has gone through. 4 are behind. 6-13-49 Gisborne, 7-1-43 Sandhurst. There's an even goal, the difference. 14.5 played in the third quarter, but you've got to remember, Hamish, there is time on in the third and fourth quarter of this one.
Yes, absolutely. So then Worm's about to take the kick in for Sandhurst, and he's put it out towards the commentary position here, but it is not a great kick, and so it's taken by Gisborne on their half-forward flank.
Pemberton, and he'll drill it long towards the top of 50, Darby Pemberton. Going in hard. It's going to be a free kick going the way of Roby Lane. And, well, this one has got danger signs written all over it for Sandhurst.
I think, like you talked about earlier, Cameron, they're still allowing Worm to take the kick-in duties, even though that hasn't quite been his strength for the day.
Being a class player down back, though, he's been just a rock down there. Just needs some support down there, I feel. Another 1 or 2 good, solid backmen certainly would help the Dragons out, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. So, as we see it, Roby Lane comes in for goal, and he's snuck it inside the left goal post. And that means Gisborne move to 7-13-55, and Sandhurst remains 7-1-43 with 16 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Thanks to Holden Colorado at Poyser Holden. Danger signs well and truly written on this one for Sandhurst. You think the next goal becomes absolutely massive.
And interesting to see that Baxter Slater's starting to enforce himself on the game, and Gisborne are now taking the lead and doing all the attacking.
He's such a confidence player as well, so he's got 2 goals and he's got 150 right to the goal line, so a bit of confidence in him, and it goes a long way.
Sandhurst boys are starting to be second of the football and giving away undisciplined free kicks.
So the ball's going up in the middle. Ozam won it down for the Bulldogs. Coming forward, trying to bustle their way through. They do well. They're going to chip it wide towards the grandstand side where the mark will be taken by Matt McDonald. And McDonald, a little chipping ball over the top, and that, well, it was good courage shown for the Bulldogs. They'll hack it forward. Spear goes in. Working hard with Blake. Strong tackling by the Gisborne Bulldogs. And he's having a superb quarter, Braden Spear.
So Spear on the half-forward flank for Gisborne has just kicked a long high ball to the hot spot. Somehow that's fell down. The mark has not been paid. A handball's been fired out, but it's cut off by Sandhurst, who run towards the scoreboard. And again, a kick that didn't quite look like it come off the right part of the boot, but it's found his teammate on the half-back flank.
So the kick was from Mattel, where it's been marked by Zach Sims on the attacking side of 50. Sims chips down the pull side wing, but it's only going as far as Gisborne. They'll work it forward now. The kick hugs the boundary line. It might have hugged the boundary line too much, and it's gone out of balance on the full. Right in front of where the boundary umpire is standing. It'll be brought back into play by Zach Sims.
7:13, Ben, 7:13. The conditions are perfect, aren't they? That windsock is up there now, so it's an indication of the pressure for later on in the afternoon. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, 20 inside 50, or 20 shots on goals, always encouraging to a side that's only at 8. As a coach, I'd be happy with it.
So Sims brought the ball back into play. Down the line, it's managed to work its way into the middle of the ground where it's just sent forward. Murley flies for Sandhurst, unable to take the mark. Spear gets it. Lakey, top of 50, but it's standing all on his own, but it took a bad bounce, and that allows Gisborne to come through with the pressure, but they should have the numbers around the prop of the footy, the Dragons.
There he goes.
But the Bulldogs have worked it out wonderfully. There's just something about the Gisborne Bulldogs in this third quarter. They've got going inside forward 50. This game has got danger signs written all over it for the Dragons, and Harry Jones will have the opportunity to make it a 3-goal margin from the Rifle Brigade pocket.
Yeah, that's great there. And Jones, he's kicked 2 goals already. Both happened in the second quarter, I believe, and he's now got his opportunity to slot a third here with 19 minutes gone in the third quarter.
If I was the Gisborne run, I'd be running out to all my boys saying the Sandhurst boys are looking tired, their kicks are looking tired, and they're not running as hard.
So Harry Jones comes in, and that is picture perfect, straight through the middle. And the Dragons, well, they're in a bit of trouble now. 7-1-43 Sandhurst, 8-13-61 Gisborne. We've played nearly 20 minutes in the third quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
And you can't look at the clock and think, oh, there's only another 40 seconds to go, because there's time on now, so there's probably another 8, 9, maybe even 10 minutes.
Yes, and it's been all Gisborne this quarter, 12 inside 50s for their 5 goals, compared with Sandhurst, 1 inside 50 for 1 goal.
So we'll go back into the middle here. Next goal becomes absolutely massive if the Dragons can get it, Ben.
Oh, for sure. But they really need it now. They're in a lot of trouble.
So they work it forward. Slater has it, sends it inside forward 50 for the Dogs. Going in defensively was Kyle Johnston. He's able to send a kick wide. Now they've got some space to work with the Dragons. Costello's got it, gets and goes, has a bounce. Has a second bounce before firing down the wing. Intended target was Murley. It bounced okay to him because it looked like it was going to fall well and truly short. Here goes Murley. 1 bounce, 2 bounces, 3 bounces. Takes on his Gisborne player. He steps around another. Fires on goal, but the kick goes right to the goal line where there is a Gisborne player who is playing the goalkeeper role. And that player back there is Matt McDonald. So McDonald will just fire a kick out of defensive 50, where he'll find the boundary line in front of the South Bendigo poolside change rooms.
It was interesting. Fleming wanted it over the top then, but Murley had run 3 bounces, and the tie kick, he couldn't get over the top.
Yeah, his third bounce there, he was having to look at it still on the ground. It didn't quite come back up to him.
So it's thrown in. Gisborne worked the ball into the middle of the ground. Chance for Braden Spear. Able to work it forward, but defensively, the Dragons are looking okay. So Baker gave the handball to Kay, who has taken over the boundary line. And hasn't he got some speed about him, though, Nathan Murley, Ben?
Oh, I heard on the radio last week. Oh, my goodness me, he can run that boy.
Absolutely.
Pity the third bounce didn't work though.
Runs all day and quickly, and that's thrown in. Full side off the ground. Sexton wins the ball down straight to the pack. And it will be thrown up again. Ball has not moved in any direction, but this time it'll be a throw in. A ball up, I should say, instead of a throw in. Handball from the Bulldogs was Brand Castanaro. Worked out to Liam Spear, who sends it forward. Dragons defensively are okay through Fist Keeley, who chips one into the middle, where you will find James Mattel. So Mattel will have it. He'll come wide for the Dragons. That's a good-looking kick. Well, the umpire blew to pay the mark, but I'm not sure it was a mark for Charlie Robinson. Had to throw his arms up and say play on. So Robinson into the middle finds Ellis. He gets and goes. Good build-up play this by the Dragons. It finds Coughlin. Had to wheel back. Gave it off to Murley, who stabs it inside forward 50. Came out the back. Here's a chance for the Dragons. At the drop of the ball was Featherby, but he handballed into a pack of players. Gisborne player was caught with the footy and he just dropped it. And here is a chance for the Dragons to go back and get a much-needed goal.
I think that was...
to kick it from the South Bendigo poolside change room.
Yeah, Bell Bartel trying to spin out of a tackle there and was met by the second tackler in Angus Dixon.
So Angus Dixon, 30 metres out, not much of an angle to work with, fires on goal and puts it through for a much-needed goal. So there's the response the Dragons were after. 8-1-49. Plays 8-13-61, 22 and a half played in the third quarter thanks to Priority One Property.
Not bad work by Dixon then, pretty fierce tackle and got rewarded and got himself a goal.
Yeah, one of the interleague representatives for Bendigo this year, and he's been a bit quiet today, so they're probably hoping for a little bit of a lift from him there, and it was a great finish there in front of goal, about 40 out.
Scott Baxter has control of proceedings in the middle, throws it up, going into the ruck is Eels for the Dogs, coming away with it Lakey, who slips a tackle, gets a kick away to half forward for Gisborne. It bounces off the face of his teammate, ricochets back to Vernon, who slams it inside the forward 50. Jones came out to meet it, then paddled to his own advantage. Slater's on the ball in the right forward pocket, got brought to ground and called for a ball up. Good tackle from Jeremy Ellis, 45 metres out from the Dogs' goal. 8-13-61 plays 8-1-49. 12 behinds literally is the margin between these two sides. Gisborne been wayward in front of goal from the stoppage. Picking it up is Baker. Handball outside the defensive 50. It'll come back in for the Dogs though. It's worked sharply through hands to Riley Vernon, who's at the top of the 50. A handball outside now to Nick Smith, who sends it back into attack for the Dogs. It skittles the pack. Jones was there. The ball runs into the right forward pocket. And the Dragons' defence is happy to see it over and out for a throw-in. Right up against the right hand behind post. Deep inside forward 50. We've played 24 minutes in this third term, and it's the Dogs by 2 goals.
Good crowd behind the goals at the CN, enjoying some nice sunshine as the ball spills out the back of the rack contest. It's just smashed forward by Mulqueen. But an intercepting mark for the Bulldogs at the top of 50. It's with DeRita now, who just scans it to the hot spot. Plucked out a free kick. And he might have got a little bit of a push.
Tiggy Touchwood, I thought, but you could see he's going to pay it.
And Harry Jones has the opportunity to go back for his 4th goal. He's kicked 2 in the second. He's got 1 in the third. And if he goes back and kicks this one from 25 metres out, not much of an angle to work with at all, he'll have 4 for the game. So Harry Jones comes in, puts it on the right foot and puts it straight through the middle. The goal umpire didn't have to do anything but signal for a goal there. 9-13-67 now. The Gisborne Bulldogs, the Sandhurst Dragons are 8-1-49. 25 and a half played in the third quarter, thanks to Priority One Property. And while that's 4 goals this game for Harry Jones.
Yeah, look, his action when he comes in, he never looks like missing. And as you saw there, the goal umpire did not have to move, Cameron. So him there, 4 goals, no behind. That's some great kicking and probably a bit of a shining light in their team scoreboard for their 9-13-67.
Was he a left footer?
Right. No, he wasn't. He's kicking on the right.
Left footers never miss.
Ball back in the middle. Eels goes up in ruck for Gisborne, and they're really making their charge now. The Dogs, Worm came crashing through off the square. It's worked forward though. Bartels sells some candy, gets inside, kicks to Jones, juggles the mark. No, not paid. So he just wheels around, handball back to Lakey, 35 out. He snaps toward the goal line and it's a mark.
Slater.
Riley Vernon has pulled it in the left forward pocket. Magnificent grab, stretching high above his head, losing his balance and falling as he grabbed it. Vernon comes in and kicks the easiest of goals.
Thought Jones' mark should have been paid.
It was great effort from Jones and great awareness just to get that ball back to the top of the 50. And Vernon takes the mark and duly obliges with the finish. And the margin is 4 goals the way of the Dogs. In this term alone, they have kicked 7 goals to 10-13-73. Sandhurst are 8-1-49, 27 gone third term. That is thanks to Priority One Property, Bendigo's Fresh FM. And now the momentum, the script is flipped completely, Hamish.
Absolutely, and someone else that I think that's really stood up for Gisborne in this quarter is Flynn Lakey. He's had a lot of their centre clearances.
The ball goes up in the middle of the QEO. Sexton knocks it down. The Dragons can go forward. They really desperately need the next one. The kick goes out in the direction of Mattel, but he just slipped. Going through hard now. But the Bulldogs just have the numbers at the ground, which seems to be sort of a common theme. As the kick comes forward, it spills through the hands of Worm, and then it goes straight through the hands of Fisk-Keeley as well. Clean bowled them both. But Worm was able to recover before dishing out the handball to Baker. Baker steps himself, sends it wide. Asks the big ask of Tom Carr. On the full side of the QEO, he's being corralled by Glenn Cascano for the Bulldogs, who battles it hard. This is a really good battle. Another player wanting to get an inch. And the boundary line says, thank you very much, I'll gobble that one up. Side of the QEO, we're almost in the middle of the QEO. And we approach the end of the third quarter in the under-18s grand final. The third quarter, which is being won by Gisborne. 10-13-73. Sandhurst 8-1-49, thanks to Aussie Disposals.
Well, thrown back in. It's been more than one by them, Kenton. They are really running away with it. Smith takes it away from the stoppage, kicks inside the 50. Jones worked under the ball. Sandhurst defence scrambles once more, but it comes out for Gisborne. A bouncing ball will bounce and bounce and bounce through. Pemberton gets in on the act. He swooped on the footy 35 metres out. It pitched high at the top of the goal square and then ran away from the Dragons' defence. And Gisborne are running away from the Dragons and fast approaching a premiership in this under-18 grand final. 11-13-79 now the Dogs. 8-1-49 Sandhurst. Gisborne with 8 goals in the quarter. And we've still got time on Bendigo's Fresh FM thanks to Aussie Disposals, Ben.
Yeah, and the Gisborne boys are all running back to position, whereas the Sandhurst boys are just dragging their backsides, really.
So the next goal becomes huge as rising high was Sexton, knocks it down to Mulqueen, who just sends it inside forward 50. In fact, it was O'Farrell.
Biggest lead of the game now for either side, Cam.
So the intercepting mark for the Bulldogs. They'll chip it forward and find Braden Spear. Spear comes wide, but the intercepting mark's been taken by Tom Kay. Goes inside. The next goal is massive for the Dragons. Vlumic, can he spark his side into action and do something special? He couldn't there. The Bulldogs can bring it out of defensive 50 and they'll go right up and find Matthew Cassidy, who chips into the middle of the ground. Mark's been taken by Lakey, who is having a really, really good third quarter, as Hamish commented on before. He goes wide, and taking a one-handed mark was Riley Vernon. So they're in the middle of the QEO, pull side. I'll bring it into the middle now. There can't be long left in this third quarter. Tom Bird, it's almost as if they're just content to slow this third quarter down. The majority of them have gone the way of Gisborne as Bird's kick is inside forward 50. Can they snag another one here? Going through, handball over the top. Here's a chance for Dorita. He gives the handball over the top. Intended target was Vernon. He just couldn't quite control it. And the Dragons are happy to see it over the boundary through Sean O'Farrell. And well, there is some nervous Sandhurst coaches and players because they are slowly slipping away. And Gisborne are looking good as we approach three-quarter time of the under-18s grand final.
From the throw-in, Jones took it out of the contest. Ball spills to Roby Lane. He fires on goal but misses to the left. Minor score to Gisborne, 11-14-80. Sandhurst 8-1-49. The margin of game high 31 points, and we've played 31 here in the third term, thanks to the Holden Colorado at Poyser Holden on Bendigo's Fresh FM. And local footy is our first choice as the security guard brings the ball back to Ben Worm. Nice little drop punt there from the man working the gates.
Look, it's been a complete dominance by Gisborne this quarter. 17 inside 50. So
Gisborne right on top in this game after Sandhurst have controlled the majority, at least on the scoreboard. We're underway in the final term as Sexton skies high in the ruck. It won't come out. We'll have another ball up. Quarter time, Ben. Who's been their best?
Well, Ben Worm kept them in the game. It wasn't him. They'd be 12 goals down. Peter Coughlin beat them all 3 quarters, and James Fleming about the other ones. Although Tommy Kay bobbed up in that quarter, did his bit of work.
And the ball up, Ozan won it down, it's straight to McCaskill, but his kick floated out of bounds on the full on the outer side wing. And it'll be taken by Murdoch Mulqueen for the Dragons. Any chance here, Ben, the Dragon? Because Gisborne have got a hell of a run on in that third term. Can Sandhurst do the same?
No chance.
Lovely. That's succinct from you, Ben. That's what we're paying you the big money for. Here's O'Farrell at half forward. Kicks inside the 50. It floats over the head of Featherby. Vlemick was clever. Went to ground. Kept his feet. Around the body. That's a brilliant finish. How good is that from James Vlemick? Came out, charging out of the goal square. Went to ground on his knees, was able to evade his defender and curled it around the body for his 5th goal of the day. 11-14-80 Gisborne, 9-1-55 Sandhurst. The margin is 25 points a minute into the last, and well, they've done it a couple of times so far, Hamish. Another good start, another goal to possibly win.
Whenever he gets near the ball, he does look likely, and I saw that after he kicked that one, he let his opponent know about it.
Yes.
So the energy's still there in him.
This has been the scoring and the city end, so I'm not prepared to write Sandhurst off yet. As we go up in the middle, it works down to Ozan, who fires it inside forward 50. Coming out, couldn't quite take the grab there, was Brand Castano. And the Dragons will rebound it out of defence for a Carroll.
Good mark.
Comes wide, that's a really good mark taken. And the far side of the ground for Sandhurst. They chip it in the middle where they find the dangerous and lively Ben Worm. Worm will get and go onto his right foot. That's a good-looking kick, and the mark's been taken by Zach Featherby. Well, is your mind starting to change a little bit because they're starting to come pretty hard here, Ben?
We'll see how his legs are with this kick, see how tight his legs are.
Zach Featherby loads
Nice
up
kick.
from 50. It goes long, right to the line. I think he might have got it.
He's got it.
He has. No worries at all then. And the Dragon faithful start to get behind their team, as you can hear in our special effects mic. 10-1-61 Sandhurst, 11-14-80 Gisborne. 2.5 played in the final quarter. They've kicked 2 goals in this final quarter thanks to Aussie disposals.
And as this final quarter started, the wind's picked up a little bit, which will help Sandhurst to some degree.
Still to that city end, Norm.
It's still going, Joel, but yeah, a little bit stronger than it's been for the first 3 quarters.
At least this gives them confidence, Ben. They get a bit of a sniff now.
Oh, they got a bit of a sniff.
Belbart's, is that
going to get a free kick out of the middle.
Gisborne player limping off the ground in front of us. A couple been getting some treatment, some cramping from some of the Sandhurst players as well. So a free kick coming from the middle of the ground here.
See a lot of that before the quarter's over. Cramping.
Cottonell's got it for the Dragons. He just thumps it inside the 50. Featherby up high, couldn't mark. Sexton took it at his feet. Through the hands of Sims goes the handball. Worms there. In defence was Lakey for the Dogs. Handball outside to Pemberton. Pemberton back to Freak, who slams it on the boot. Long down the broadcast side wing. Blake goes in for the Dogs. Oh, taking it away was Belbartels. Got the handball away. Pemberton a kick around the body. Doesn't go very far. And it's pushed out of play on the grandstand side wing. Gee, it's fierce stuff early in this term. Sandhurst are laying down the challenge. Gisborne trying to withstand it. 4 gone in the final quarter. 19 points the lead of the Dogs.
So the pressure is well and truly up as Murley tries to bust his way through, but good defensive play by Pat Zarita to see the ball over the boundary line, because Murley's not someone you want to allow some space for.
No, absolutely. He's a quick player. I see that Peter Coughlin just got up a bit ginger from the last contest as well.
So it's thrown in the ground. Down to the big fella. Picking it up nicely off the loose ball was Murley. He sends it to the top of 50. Featherby has it. He can get around one and dish off the handball. Had to go backwards to come forward to Mattel, who gave it back to Featherby. Chips into the pocket for Vlemick. He was leading out with his arms spread like an eagle, but it fell just short of him. And it'll be thrown in almost underneath the scoreboard, which reads 11-14-80, Sandhurst 10-1-61. And there might be some nervous coaches down on the Gisborne bench because Sandhurst are real and truly coming thanks to Priority One property.
Zen wins it down in ruck for Gisborne, shares it by hand. Sexton to O'Farrell, that's Sean O'Farrell. Thumped away by Lakey in defence for the Dogs, but it comes back for Sandhurst. Open his K inside the 50. Will it get to him? No. He had to spin. He got it to Coughlin. Coughlin around the body, a curling kick. Doesn't come back quite far enough. Through for a behind as the security guard chases it behind the goals. He's desperate for another kick of the football, is that man. 10-2-62 Sandhurst, 11-14-80 Gisborne. 3 straight kicks is the margin, 5 gone in the final term of the under-18 grand final, and it is thanks to Priority One property.
And at this stage, Sandhurst showing no ill effects of 3 hard lead-up games.
So Cassidy goes short. Finds a teammate who comes back to Cassidy. Vlamic was putting all the pressure on him. Vlamic started running and Cassidy had fooled him and went to the other direction. Talk about selling the candy. He's kicked it out of bounds on the full. So after I gave him a pump up, he goes and does something like that. So the Dragons can send it inside forward 50 now. Ball spills out the back. Can someone get a run on it? Worm, who's down inside the forward 50, trying to spark the Dragons here. Caring kick out from Liam Spear. Had a bad bounce. They come through for Ellis, who was happy to see it over the boundary.
Silly
the
tackle.
umpire's going to get a free kick.
He got rid of it, didn't need to tackle him.
So it's going to be with Ellis.
The wind is affecting things here too.
What's going on here?
That lateral kick in from the out of bounds on the full before noticeably blew toward the Sandhurst goal. So it's and you look at the netball court, it is quite strong on that outer side.
Only have to look at the sock puppet at the Barnard end as it comes inside. Tom Kay roves the pack, fires on goal. Special from James Fleming. It came off hands and he just threw a boot at it and put it through. Well, James Fleming has got 6. The famous Joel Peterson bag has been achieved. He's got 6 goals. And, well, there have been 6 magnificent goals. And if anyone's looking for something to do tonight, just get on the replay of this game and watch his highlights because he is absolutely superb. 11-14-80, plays 11-2-68. 6.5 gone in the final quarter thanks to Priority One property. Some special things, James Norm.
Yeah, a couple of Gisborne boys here looking a little bit worried as they stand on the boundary waiting to go on.
12 points the margin. Lemick with 6 goals, and well, most of them have been absolutely spectacular from the restart. Murdoch Mulqueen got it from Coughlin, pokes the kick forward, running onto it is Dixon. Dixon kicks inside forward 50. Blemick in the van again. Ball bounced over his head, but he's first back onto it. He collects in the left forward pocket, paddles it off the ground, free kick. Blemick will get a free kick. He kept it in and ran onto the ball and was dragged down without possession of the footy. In the left forward pocket, tied up against the boundary line, he will take his kick. And, well, odds are that he puts this through. He'd be an odds-on favourite at the moment, the way he's kicked them.
Doesn't even have to look, he'd probably kick it.
57 on the season for James Blemick, and that one doesn't quite have the carry. He caught it a little bit skinny. And through for one behind. The game is inside 2 kicks now. 11-14-80 Gisborne, 11-3-69 Sandhurst. So 2 goals to Sandhurst hands them back the lead. We played 8 minutes in the last term, and that is thanks to Aussie Disposals.
So Matthew Cassidy brings the kick in. He plays onto himself and then bangs it long down the pool side. Goes all of 60 metres where it is touched off hands. Over the line for a throw in. And, well, Norm, there certainly is some players with some hands on heads and a little nervous signs for Gisborne out there.
There is, and the Sandhurst boys, they look a little bit fitter at this stage to me.
Absolutely. Maybe that they have had 3 games in the month. Running him out with extra time as well could play a factor as the Gisborne Bulldogs work it forward in the direction of Sam McCaskill, but it takes a bad bounce from him and goes over the line for a throw-in. It'll be thrown in about 80 metres from home for the Dragons. And they are within 2 goals of taking the lead. You're right, Jolie.
Ball thrown back in. Ozan wins it down. Doing the chasing was Vernon for the Dogs, but it comes out for the Dragons. They work it forward. Worm kicks inside the 50, out the back. Trying to take possession of the ball is Pemberton. Well, in fact, that'll be the 12 for the other side in Harry Fisk-Keeley. His kick forward was cut off. Matt McDonald there for the Dogs. Contact. Doesn't matter. Worm took the mark. He got run into and still was able to judge the mark. He is playing some kind of game, Ben Worm. Kicks inside the forward 50, over the back, sliding in the mark is Featherby. It's floated over the head of a Gisborne defender. And Featherby slides in 42 metres out on a 45-degree angle to the right. He will cross the numbers of the 50 and kick from 45.
You've seen the way this boy can kick. It'll be straight and hard.
To narrow the gap to 5 points. Zach Featherby, left foot kick.
Oh,
He's just pushed it left. Minor score. 10 points the margin. Sandhurst 70, Gisborne 80. 10 minutes gone. Final term. Bendigo's Fresh FM Grand Final football is thanks to Priority One Property.
Lots of finger pointing being done from the Gisborne players on the boundary line at the moment, Norm.
There is, and look, they've got to find a way to move this ball forward into the breeze, which is strengthening as the quarter goes on.
The voice of Norm Jenkins down on the boundary line here at Bendigo's Fresh FM as they've worked it forward, Gisborne, but it's not going to go very far because it's with Kyle Johnson who sends it forward. It takes a bounce inside forward 50. Vlamic's got it, and when he's near the footy, something special can happen. Couldn't quite control it that time. Gisborne will clear it out. Intended target was Spear, battled hard. Did okay, Spear. Eventually it found a way to Lane, who gave it back to Spear. Now they can try and work it forward, Gisborne. He's got a handball it to himself, though, as McCaskill, because he's got no options ahead of him. The ball spills to ground. Packet players dive on top of it from both sides. No one able to take clean possession of it. The umpire wraps his arms and says, I'll throw it up. So it is thrown up. We're about 70 metres out from the Gisborne goal, and they desperately need a goal, Jolie.
They do. Ball's thrown up. Ozan wins it down in defence for the Dogs. They work it through sets of hands at the top of the 50. And have a ball up.
the concern for Gisborne is when they do break, they've got no forwards. Everyone's pushed up the ground. They've got no one to go to.
Gisborne in attack. Top of the 50 at the Barnard Street end. Sexton wins it down. Trying to spin his way through and being brought to ground. In that contest, the Gisborne player who hands the ball back to the umpire, Tom Bird. So I'll do it all again. Sexton this time. Clenched fist, punches it forward towards Sims. Bursting his way through was Worm. Lost the run of the football just as he was about to get rid of it. Then went back in and got it though. Able to shovel it out. Gisborne with numbers around the football. Free kick coming here to the Dogs. It'll be taken by Jacob Murphy, who's 80 metres out from goal between the wing and half forward.
So Murphy goes just inside forward 50, right in front of the players' race at the South Bendigo poolside change rooms. They work it forward, and a mark's been taken in the forward pocket for the Bulldogs.
Was it
and they will go back, and Jones has an opportunity to go back for his fifth goal and kick a much-needed goal for the Bulldogs.
It's a shootout with the full forwards, isn't it, today? If he gets this one, 6 from one and 5 from the other.
Wind should probably push this back toward the to the right, just the way it's going, but it'll be a tough kick because he's probably kicking on that angle directly into the breeze.
So to take his best effort, Harry Jones comes in, puts it on the right foot, it swings in the breeze, and it swings just a little bit too much and through for a minor to the far side. So 11-15-81, Gisborne's first score of the final quarter sees them 11 points up on Sandhurst, who are 11-4-70, 12 and a half played in the final quarter, thanks to Holden, Colorado at Poyser Holden.
Jones has played a hell of a game, as has this man, Worm, who kicks in for the Dragons. Finds a teammate inside defensive 50, Blaze Holden. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. 13 played in this under-18 grand final. Sandhurst winning the 17 and under netball a little bit earlier. Sakara Rodder the best on court there. Cut off as the Dragons come outside the defensive 50. It's scooped up by Brancazzano, who kicks to full forward. And boat goes over the head of his teammate, and Ellis scoops up in defence for Sandhurst, but he's claimed, caught, holding the ball. Free kick going to Riley Vernon in the right forward pocket for Gisborne. Vernon hard up against the boundary line, probably hard up against the boundary fence at the Barnard Street end of the ground. Tighter angle from where Jones took the shot from a couple of moments ago. Vernon's right foot kick goes to the top of the square. Jones! A towering mark. Again, Harry Jones stood tallest in the pack. He marks at the top of the goal square and will go back to try and kick his fifth.
Coach Gallagher would be pretty disappointed there. I think Connor Sexton should have got a fist in there, caught behind, and it just didn't happen.
Tried to outmark him.
Correct.
To make it 17 points, Harry Jones delivers. And he's delivered all day. 5 goals for Jones. Gisborne's lead back to 3 kicks. 12-15-87. Sandhurst 11-4-70. 14 and a half gone in the final term of the under-18 grand final. On Bendigo's Fresh FM, it is thanks to Aussie Disposals, Gisborne's first goal of the quarter.
It is their first goal, Joel, but it's what they've aimed towards. They aim to have Harry Jones one out up there, and it certainly worked for them that time.
The ball goes up in the middle. Next goal becomes absolutely massive in this contest as Sean O'Farrell dishes out a handball. Sexton's there, able to paddle it forward nicely, which will be taken by Murley. Sends it to the top of 50 where Fisk Keeley leads out to it, but he played on and he was just a little bit too quick for Fleming. But he's got it. He gets around one. He steps around a second. Handball's over the top. This might be another special for James Fleming. Oh, this guy is absolutely unbelievable. There's nothing more you can say about James Fleming. He's got 7, and he is playing one of the best games you'll ever see. 12-15-87 Gisborne, 12-4-76 Sandhurst, 15 and a half gone in the fourth quarter. Thanks to Priority One Property, and I think your jaw's not the only one that's hit the ground, Joel, because he is something special, James Fleming.
Yeah, just the will to even do that, Ben.
Yeah, the pressure that's on him. He seems to love more and more pressure, and he just loves it. He just thrives, gets around, he sells the dummy,
balance,
taps
the
it
handball
all.
back. Absolutely outstanding. James Fleming, what a game he's played from the middle. Free, Campbell to Bell Bartels for the Dogs, who kicks a high ball to half forward. It bounces high in the air, taken by Kay for the Dragons. Kay a handball to Sims, who stumbles and then handballs a bouncing ball back out in front of Tom Kay, who runs onto the footy and then slips a tackle, gets to right half forward, kicks to Fleming again. Back spot, couldn't mark this time. Dogs able to run it out through into the centre of the ground, but marking his Worm, who's been every bit as good as any player on the ground. He kicks inside, 50 over the back. Fleming with another chance. Liam Spear stands tall. Kick batted down. Spills to the square. Featherby, no. Fleming, no. Tried to soccer it off the ground.
They both got in each other's way.
They just couldn't work it out. Inside the goal square, it goes through for a minor score. Sandhurst trail by 10 points, 17 gone, final term of the grand final in the under-18s.
The time on in this last quarter, so there is stacks of time remaining in this one.
And it's the Gisborne boys that are cramping at present, more so than Sandhurst boys.
Cassidy brings the short kick into Spear, who just fires it down the line. Who can get there for Gisborne and try and work something forward? It spills out the back nicely. Going through is McDonald, who fed a handball out. Now they're away, the Bulldogs. Kick up the line. Does it sit for Vernon? He can get it and go. Have a bounce. Have a second before he's closed down. He sends it inside forward 50. Leading out hard was Bird. And he's ran himself into a wall where the ball will just hit the deck. Around, eventually it spills forward, it comes out, Jones got it, fires it towards the top of the square, out of bounds on the full it goes, and it'll be brought back in for Sandhurst. They trail the under-18s grand final by 10 points, 12-5-77, Gisborne a 12-15-87. We have played 18 minutes in the last quarter thanks to Priority One Property. 10 extra scoring shots and they're only 10 points ahead.
Jesus, you look down there in the forward line for Sandhurst, there's a fullback's nightmare, isn't it? Being stuck with Lemick on your own.
So the Dogs or the Dragons bring it back into play. Murley at half back takes the mark, chips short. Sean O'Farrell on the outer side of the ground. Defensive side of the wing, pumps it down the outer side and it floats on the breeze out of bounds on the full. Just miscued the kick. Came off the side of the boot, but with that breeze it was always going to push it across. So free kick taken for the Dogs, and again pumped back in the direction of O'Farrell, who juggles the mark, claimed it. Was it paid? It was. So the umpire did pay it, albeit a little bit late. So O'Farrell will take the kick, centre wing on the outer side of the ground. 19 gone, final term. Gisborne 87 leads Sandhurst 77. He chips it over the top. And they're just pretty happy to hold it up at the moment. Charlie Robinson's got the ball for the Dragons. A low kick to half forward. Trying to work his way through the pack was Mattel. Picked up by Lakey, who spins out of the tackle. Handball away quickly and then onto a teammate who throws it back over his head to Lakey, who runs onto it on the outer side wing. Handball away, releases McDonald. McDonald kicks inside forward 50. Jones, not this time. Had it thumped away from him by Kyle Johnston. And the ball out of play at the junction of the 50 and the boundary at right half forward. Gisborne lead by 10 points. They are in attack. as we tick into time on in this final term.
So it's thrown in right in front of the players' race at the South Bendigo poolside change rooms. Coughlin's in there for the Dragons. No one able to really get any clear, effective disposal on the footy, and the umpire's plucked out a free kick. Gone the way of the Dragons. Not sure what it's for, but they play the advantage. It's a dangerous advantage because it's turned over. Top of the square. Here's a chance, and he's got his head absolutely ripped off. Baxter Slater. 25 out directly in front. And if he goes back and nails this, he'd nearly go almost one hand on the cup for Gisborne if he puts this through. So it was just a dangerous kick as well. Well, when you're kicking across goal, your kicks have got to be absolutely superb, especially late in the last quarter of a grand final when you've got to come from behind.
Big opportunity.
So Baxter Slater, can he capitalise on a monumental Sandhurst error? 25 out directly in front. He has hooked it and missed the lot. So a real let-off for the Dragons there. No score. And Sandhurst, well, they might have been got out of jail free card there.
Worm kicks in. Johnston for the Dragons. Bangs it down the broadcast side wing. And
This kid's played a good game.
Floats in again. Been magnificent. Takes it and kicks into the corridor. Down low McDonald. Defensive side of the centre circles for the 21 gone final term. Gisborne 87 leads Sandhurst 77. McDonald comes back out to the grandstand side wing where he finds Spear, who holds it up and directs some traffic. Looks to centre half forward. Doesn't see a lot on offer. Directs his kick back into the corridor. Just floats over the head of Zach Featherby into Braden Spear. The handball's back now to Matt Cassidy at the back edge of the centre square. He directs his kick back to the grandstand side wing, just attacking the side of the wing, forward of halfway for the Dogs. And Adam Brancatters
and it's almost as if the Bulldogs there starting to run down time. But I'm going to say with the amount of goals in this quarter, there's still at least another 6 or 7 minutes left, one would think. They chip wide and find Roby Lane. Lane goes down the line, finds Jacob Murphy. He chips down the line. It just bounced up awkwardly for the Gisborne player there. It hit him in the head, but he was able to recover. Send it towards the top of 50. Spills out the back. Can someone from Gisborne run onto it? Pushing through. Handball wide, but Tom Kay takes an intercept for the Dragons. And I thought he was about to have a shot at the wrong goals for a second there. And then he just off a handball in the direction of Charlie Robertson. Robertson had to become tackler, and he did a really good job because he's forced the turnover out of bounds on the full. The kick goes. And it will be brought back into play for Kyle Johnson for the Dragons. So Kyle Johnson in the South Bendigo social room pocket will bring it back into play.
So Johnston slams it down toward half back. Oh, well done in the pack from three. On the boot out of bounds on the full. Marked by a spectator over the fence. He was pretty happy with his work. Might actually be the emergency umpire, I think. One of the umpires for the next game, who's just standing up alongside the boundary fence there and took a nice chest mark. So a long kick down the line from Worm. O'Farrell in the pack. Featherby up as well. Staying down was Cassidy of the Dogs. Oh, Eels was run over by Zach Featherby. Thrown across the boundary line with force. And a boundary thrown in front of the Sandhurst interchange.
This will suit the Dogs, though. All his stoppages.
Just slows down into a bit of a stalemate as we get to the final stages of this game. 10-point lead to Gisborne, 87 plays 77 from the boundary throw in. The ball doesn't go anywhere. And we'll have a stoppage. 23 gone, final term. Gisborne 12-15, Sandhurst at 12-5 on Bendigo's Fresh FM.
So the ball goes up and it comes straight back down where Packer played dive on top of it. But as you said, the game is turning into a stalemate, but Gisborne will not mind at all. They lead this game by 10 points as we've tricked over 23 and a half in the final quarter. Trying to go through, it was Lakey for the Bulldogs, was brought to ground. Cries of holding the ball. Kick comes forward. No one able to really do anything in there. Brent Cassano goes in for the Dogs. He just put his head down and smashed his way through. His handball was chopped off though. They come towards the 50. Here's a chance for the Dragons. Will it sit out the back for Featherby? It did okay. Coughlin come through. He managed to get himself back up onto his feet and send it inside void 50. It skittled a lot. Surely not from there, James Lemick. He picks up, gaves off the short handball. Might have got a little push in the back. Umpire said play on.
He's still involved.
Put the play away. They're just fumbling with it, Gisborne. Now Vlemick, he's just going to be crunched and he's going to get himself a free kick. Well, as you said, Ben, he just stays in the play. And when he's around, something magical can happen.
The cries of the Gisborne bench is that it wasn't there to the umpire, but it's nothing doing. He's got a shot right on the pocket.
So James Fleming, well, he's
wow.
miscued that one, but he might claim it as a pass. It's been taken by Zach Featherby. Right on the opposite pocket, and we'll see if he can do a better job than James Fleming. But if you ask him, he'll say it was a pass, Joel.
Absolutely. Well,
So, if the Dragons are any chance,
when you've kicked 7,
they need to
and you
kick
miss
this.
one, there was
He's
a pass.
dished it off to guess who? Fleming fires on goal. It's gone. Oh, I thought it had gone through, but it just bounces to the left of the sticks. And why wouldn't you give the ball to James Fleming with the form he's in today?
How could they let Fleming go from this pocket, wander all the way over to the other pocket to receive a
He
handball?
almost jumped the fence and walked around the fence and came back in that way. So 12-6-78 Sandhurst,
Hope he's paid admission.
12-15-87 Gisborne. 25 and a half gone in the final quarter, thanks to Priority One Property.
Sure, they didn't let him in for free as he came back in the camp. Guarantee you that.
So the kicks come in short to Seb Bell Bartels. Bit of a tongue twister that one as he goes down the line. No one able to take the mark. It spills out the back. Here's Sean O'Farrell chipping ball into the middle of the ground. Intended target was Robinson, who had to play tackler because it was well done by Lakey, who dished off a handball. Now they're away, Gisborne. If the ball sits there away, can he get it? It would have been perfect for Chris Pemberton. He had Mitchell Blake steaming into the open goal, but it didn't quite fall for him. But they're able to work it out. Still are the Bulldogs. No one able to get clean possession on the wing. Pull side, umpires plucked out a free kick, which is going the way of the Dragons. Might be for a hold, Ben.
Looks like it.
So they are still alive. There is still some sort of flames
26
in
minutes.
this
Close.
26 minutes gone in the final quarter. They come long through Jeremy Ellis, but a strong defensive mark has been taken and played on, and then he just dropped the footy in a tackle.
Yep.
Well, when you're 26 minutes into the grand final, you just got to go back and take some time because it forces an error. The Dragons have gone inside forward 50 for Vlamic. He dishes off the handball to Murley. Wanted to give it back to Vlamic, but his handball was run down beautifully by the Gisborne defence. Pack of players working around the footy. Gisborne have the numbers, but they run through tackles. They just throw it away. Still bearing in hard, and eventually it's just Matt McDonald just sends it forward. Will it set up okay? Dragons have the numbers at the drop of the footy. They'll just keep coming, the Dragons. They come wide to Tom Kay. He can go. Have one bounce. Have a second. And then go inside forward 50.
Where is he?
Guess who? Fleming's at the back of the pack. It comes out and the Bulldogs will get away. Kick wide from Roby Lane. But Roby Lane's kick's turned over. And a flying shot on goal from Lachlan Baker's gone through. It is well and truly game on at the QEO in the under-18s grand final. There can't be long left, but it is a 3-point margin. 3 points to the margin. 12-15-87 Gisborne. 13-6-84 Sandhurst. 27 and a half gone in the final quarter, thanks to Aussie Disposals.
How important is this centre clearance?
Absolutely. And look, it's clutch time here, so we'll be interesting to see who's stepping up from both sides.
Umpire throws the ball up in the air. Who can win it? Everyone rushes from outside the square to get in, and the umpire's plucked out a free kick for a high tackle. He can go the way of Murphy. You can hear the friends of the Gisborne people saying slow it down, but he goes against their word of advice and sends it right in the McCaskill direction. And he might have run over the boundary line. He has. So over the boundary line it goes. Pull side of the ground. About 80 metres out from home from the Gisborne goal. Margin 3 points, 12-15-87, plays 13-6-84, 29 minutes almost played in the final quarter. It's thrown in again. Just smash forward. There's the siren sounds to end the under-18s grand final, and it is a Gisborne premiership. There is Sandhurst bodies spread out the QEO. 12-15-87 Gisborne to Sandhurst 13-6-84. Thanks to Priority One Property. That was one of the great grand finals, Hamish.
Oh, sensational. You know, it's worth paying the money to get up and watch these under-18s because they're the future players of the league, and geez, they put on a performance.
So Sandhurst bodies spread everywhere as we're in the middle.
Season 2018 in the Sports Power Under-18 competition. Welcome to BFNL Grand Final Day, and firstly congratulations to both of our competing sides on a terrific season, Gisborne and Sandhurst, and our premiers in under-18 football, the Gisborne Bulldogs. Thanks also to Sports Power, the valued sponsor of the under-18 competition in season 2018, to Jeff Finlay and the crew from Sports Power. We appreciate their support. We'll begin the presentations with our umpires to present them with their medals. From the BFNL board, Peter Davey. Our central umpires, Scott Baxter, Josh Hamilton, and Steve Christensen. Our boundary umpires in the under-18 grand final for season 2018, Fraser Banfield, Reese Beamish, Oliver Wells, and Brodie Newman. And our two goal umpires in the grand final, Darryl Hamilton and Simon Hay. Thanks to the BUA for their support, as always, of season 2018. We'll now award the two medals as the best two players on the ground, as selected by the Fresh FM broadcast team. We'll get Peter Davey to present the Rod Ashman medal for the best player on the ground. And it goes to, from Sandhurst, number 25, James Flemick.
So James Flemick taking out the Rod Ashman medal as best on ground in a losing Sandhurst side, but certainly no dispute there after he kicked 7 goals, Ben.
Lose by 3 points. It's pretty close, isn't it?
7 magnificent goals, as well as a couple of miracle goals in there as well.
Couple. 5.
To present the WorkSafe AFL Victoria medal in the under-18 grand final for season 2018 from AFL Central Victoria, Shane Coop. And that goes to, from Gisborne, number 17, Liam Spear.
So the AFL Victoria medal, brought to you from WorkSafe, goes to Liam Spear of the Gisborne Bulldogs, who was absolutely superb across the half-back flank as well for the Bulldogs, as you mentioned many times throughout the broadcast, Hamish.
Yeah, look, he was a clear standout for Gisborne, and as I said, that last 10 minutes he was really able to control the game from the back half, and really, I think that composure that he showed has allowed him to take the tablets.
Gallagher, the coach of Sandhurst, to say a few words.
Thank you, John. Firstly, congratulations, Marty and the boys. We've played a great game today, clearly. Going in, we were very positive, 1-1. We've had throughout the season. You were really well balanced, across the board, 22. So today, I think you bought your A game and the result's yours. To my boys, head high. You taught me as much as I hope I've taught you. Humility, winning, being humble in defeat and humble in victory, I think is very important. Hold your heads high. Your efforts today are fantastic. We're not getting the friendship medals, but the development of you guys, I'm really, really proud. We're dangerous. And just on behalf of Sandhurst, I'd like to thank the BFNL for putting on such a wonderful day. Fantastic. Otherwise, which you didn't have anything to do with, I know, but the rest of it, facilities, everything else, well done. And again, keep it well done on your efforts today.
Words of the Sandhurst coach, Dave Gallagher, after their side went down by 3 points in the under-18s grand
To our
final.
victorious side in Gisborne, we will present our premiership medals. And we'll start at the top of the playing list. Number 1, Sam McCaskill. Number 2, Flynn Lakey. Number 3, Jacob Murphy.
Another good game from Jacob Murphy as well, Ben.
Yeah, well, I certainly like the game of that Flynn Lakey in this last quarter.
4, Tom Bird.
Yeah, and Tom Bird, I thought he played a pretty good game. I definitely had him in some of the better players in the first half of the match there. So he was good.
Roby Lane.
2 goals in that third quarter for Roby Lane, which is probably the quarter that Gisborne really got the momentum stamped on
Number
this game.
6, Mitchell Blake.
Well, he had a really good game, Mitchell Blake. He did well, hard tackler. Certainly made his presence felt.
Number 7, Baxter Slater.
Baxter Slater, probably a little bit down on some of his performances earlier in the year, but in the second half he did step up a little bit and managed to kick 2 goals.
Matt Cassidy, he was another good player, did his job.
Number 9, Sebastian Bell Bartels.
Player that was probably a little bit stiff, not been named best on ground. He was absolutely superb.
He was right up there in
especially
the voting.
That first half. He
Number
was
10,
superb.
Adam Brancatizano.
He's another good player. He was up in the voting as well. He did a very good job.
Number 11, Matthew McDonald.
One of the smaller players there for Gisborne, but that didn't stop him going in very hard for the ball, and
Number
he
12,
had his fair share of it as well.
Pemberton.
Goal in the third for Derby Pemberton, as well as playing a really good game across the half
Number
forward
14,
flank for
Charlie
Gisborne.
Greenwood.
There's not a name that we call too much throughout the day, but he has played his role well.
Number 16,
I'm not sure that his opponent got much of the ball either.
And Nick Smith, as Joel said earlier, if your name's Nick Smith, you're usually going to be a pretty good
Number
footballer.
19,
You had a good
Graham
game.
Spear.
Yeah, he's a guy that really got them going, Liam Spear.
Braden Spear, absolutely
Number
Brian.
superb.
21, Ben Eels.
Ben Eels, his tackling was absolutely superb. He probably laid about 5 or 6 really strong tackles
Number
and got rewarded
22,
4 times as
Josh
well.
Freak.
Josh Freak, not another name that we called too much throughout the game.
Bobbed
but
up in the third quarter. Did all
Number
right in the third quarter.
23, Riley Vernon.
There's a name, Vernon from Gisborne. He had a brother, I think, kicked a lot of goals years back, so
Number 25,
follow his footsteps.
Picked one himself, Riley Vernon, as well as very prominent up in the forward line. Pat Dorita did some good things, good
Number
tackling from him
28,
as well.
Jack Ozan.
Battled really hard in the ruck, Jock Ozan against the Sandhurst ruckman in Connor Sexton.
Yeah, Ozan had to fight against a lot taller opponent in Sexton, so he did a good job there. And we've just heard called out Harry Jones. He kicked 4 goals, 1, and was also quite impressive for Gisborne, so probably their best player up forward for them.
Number 17, Liam Spear.
Well, the captain of the side, Liam Spear, who also picked up the WorkSafe AFL Victoria medal. Just repeating those 2 medals. The Rod Ashman medal went to James Vlemick of the Sandhurst Dragons for his 7 goals, and the WorkSafe AFL Victoria medal going the way of the captain of the Gisborne Bulldogs, Liam Spear, who just had an absolute superb game.
Led by example.
Fitting that he will be the one that will get to lift the Premiership Cup with the coach Marty Lakey.
Thanks very much. Today we should be really proud of your side, mate. They're outstanding today. When the 5 goals down at 3/4 time and we come back and decide we did, going through the goal either way. So congratulations, Sam. You've done it the hard way too. You've come through a couple of losses or 1 loss and make the grand final. So well done. Congratulations, guys. It was a good fight. The work side. I want to thank number 1 the players for bringing it down. Tremendous bunch of young men. As I said before, when we started the year, we weren't the best side, and luckily today we got the chocolate. So congratulations to everyone of you boys, you've been outstanding, and a pleasure to be coached. I want to thank supporters, the community of the Gisborne Football Club, parents who've been involved, with everyone that's helped out this year with me, particularly my coaching group. You know who you are, I won't name us all. But thank you so much, and fellas, let's really enjoy it and make the most of it. Good luck with the A-grade netball. See ya.
There is just one order of business to finish off for our under-18 presentations, and that is to get Jeff Finlay of Sports Power Bendigo to present Marty and Liam with the 2018 Under-18 Premiership Cup. Congratulations to our premiers, the Gisborne Bulldogs.
The premiers in 2018, the under-18s, the Gisborne Bulldogs, 12-15-87, have defeated the Sandhurst Dragons 13-6-84 Absolute cracking game. Just repeating the medals, the Rod Ashman for the best on ground, James Flemick of the Sandhurst Dragons, and the AFL Victoria medal going the way of Liam Spear of Gisborne. As we head down for the song.
Got any more tape? It's falling off.
So Gisborne are the premiers of under 18s footy, 12-15-87, Sandhurst 13-6-84. It was a cracking game of footy to end, well, a really good year of under 18s footy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Marty said there that he didn't think they were quite the best team throughout the season, but they showed it when it come to the time that you have to perform. They were able to do so.